Welcome to Fantasy Audiobook, Horror Game. I have the Evil God source code. Chapter 1. Start scanning, ready to load the program. Scan failure, error number 0x00069S. Searching for the cause of the error. In the darkness before Luo Shu's eyes, these strange lines appeared. Before he could react, the darkness suddenly lit up again, and a green stream of data occupied all sight. Some weird red runes appeared in it, which was particularly eye-catching in the digital waterfall. Those runes are neither numbers nor any kind of characters that Luo Shu knows. I don't know if it's an illusion. Those red runes seem to be alive, like twisted worms. Sudden, in front of the dense data flow waterfall, an emergency prompt jumped out. Anomaly source code found. Anomaly source code found. Anomaly source code found. Luo Shu didn't know what was going on, and his sanity gradually recovered, like waking up from a big dream. Wait, I seem to be dissecting nude mice with tumors in school just now, right? Single quote. Could it be that game? Single quote. Luo Shu instantly understood that he had won the lottery. Here is the horror game. From half a year ago, a supernatural game called Thriller Game appeared in the world. All over the world, people disappeared one after another in full view, and then, these missing people appeared in a game world. The missing people became players, and were inexplicably forced to enter one dangerous dungeon world after another. Players must use their strengths and struggle to survive. Become strong and survive, or die. In the outside world, horror game apps mysteriously appear on all information terminals, such as computers, mobile phones, and everywhere. Anyone can log in and watch the thrilling videos or live broadcasts of these missing people in the game world online. The advent of supernatural powers and the death records brought about by horror games made the whole world shrouded in gloom and mist. Although the probability of being selected was very low, it still caused widespread panic. At this moment, Luo Shu was a little nervous. As a sophomore medical dog, he is busy with his studies and only occasionally watched a recording on the horror game app. It was a team task, the ancient background of the parallel world. Groups of mandrills and demons almost devoured everyone. Group of 7, only 2 survived. With this movie-watching experience, Luo Shu thought that for an ordinary medical college student like himself, since he was unlucky enough to be selected into this kind of game, it might be a bad luck. Thinking of this, he who was nervous and frightened, couldn't help laughing in his heart. Luo Shu's personality is abnormal, but he doesn't know that he is abnormal. His parents were researchers of prehistoric civilizations before their death. Their work had not progressed all year round, but they were fortunate enough to discover the remains of ancient deep-sea civilizations after they were pregnant with him. An altar full of bones, countless twisted and hideous and indescribable stone statues, and undecipherable foreign characters. After giving birth to him, the two soon became insane and died unexpectedly. And Luo Shu, seemingly unaffected, is in normal health. In fact, a special supernatural meme has polluted him long ago. In the outside world, this strange power is not obvious, mainly manifested in the fact that he does not have the fear of normal people. Fear makes him extremely excited, and in a state of fear, his thinking ability will increase exponentially. And here, it is reflected as abnormal source code. The data flow has been washed away for a long time, and the weird red runes gradually deformed and hid. Appears to have evaded detection procedures. The stream of data disappears, and a few lines of text appear. Congratulations, you have been selected as a beta tester for the Thriller game. Username: Luo Shu. User level: LV1. Current experience: 0/100. Luo Shu saw that there are still many unlit parts under the personal attributes, such as the equipment bar, item bar, etc., which all show that they are not unlocked. Entering the novice guide task, please be prepared. You will regain control of your body. Luo Shu suddenly felt his body sink. Only then did he feel the existence of his body. In the ear, there was a penetrating voice that was so hoarse that it was almost impossible to tell the gender, saying, "Welcome to the horror game." He knows, the game is on. The taskbar opens in front of you. Newbie guidance mission. Completely eliminate the threat. The task appeared for a few seconds and then disappeared. Luo Shu recalled it when he thought about it. It felt quite magical. It's not clear what the threat is. It seems that it is deliberately scaring the players. Luo Shu muttered to himself, it must be a scary-looking thing. Compared to most players who entered the game for the first time, Luo Shu seemed very calm. Even too calm. He could smell the faint smell of rust in the air. Blood smell. Not surprising. Luo Shu carefully groped around for a while, and found that the surrounding was very cramped. It looked like a small warehouse. He felt for a switch, turned it on, and the light came on. In the full-length mirror directly in front of him, a figure wearing a medical mask and blue surgical gown was suddenly reflected. That is himself. Under the watchful eyes of everyone, he suddenly disappeared and entered the game world completely, so he was wearing the same surgical gown as when dissecting a nude mouse just now. Luo Shu looked at it for a moment, then looked away. He found that the birth point he was in was a warehouse, and there were a lot of medical supplies piled up in it, including disposable gloves and medical equipment, and miscellaneous boxes were piled up here, and the words on the boxes were all in English. In front is an ordinary wooden door. I heard that the script world is generated in a targeted manner. Looking at the situation here, it seems to be aimed at my identity as a medical dog. Luo Shu hesitated and thought for a moment, then turned the handle directly and pushed the door out. The novice guide mission, the focus is on guidance, the dangerous dungeon world is behind, so don't worry about it now. Then, the moment the door opened, a strong smell of blood pierced his nostrils. Luo Shu instantly became nervous and excited. Outside the warehouse, there was actually a crude operating room. There is a stainless steel operating table in the center, with bloodstains on it, which have solidified. On the ground next to the operating table lay the body of a nurse. Luo Shu walked over to take a look. The nurse was a middle-aged Caucasian woman. Her eyes were still open, completely out of focus. Her death was okay. She fell on her back, tightly holding a scalpel in her left hand, and clutching her neck with her right hand. There was a mess. There were blood splatters all over the body and the ground. The volume is large, and the picture is horrible. But Luo Shu didn't feel anything about this scene, so he squatted down very calmly, dabbed some sticky blood with his fingers, and then checked the injury on the nurse's neck. Half of her neck was gone. After fiddling for a while, Luo Shu stood up. Well, it's still fresh. At the same time, on the outside horror game app, someone also entered Luo Shu's live broadcast room to watch. Because people in the world are drawn into horror games all the time, the number is huge, and there are already many popular star players. So few people pay attention to newcomers, especially the boring novice tasks. There are only 7 people in Luo Shu's live broadcast room. 5 of them posted barrage. This classmate doesn't seem normal. Puff, it's still fresh, why don't you take it while it's hot? Looking at his appearance, he seems to be a doctor, so his psychological quality is exceptionally good. Recently I saw the only Mengxin who didn't yell. That's it, which doctor's psychological quality will be poor. Luo Shu saw that there was a glass curtain wall on one side of the operating room, and the lights in the corridor outside were flickering, like a short circuit. What was scary was that there was a dead body in the corridor. This corpse is even more wonderful. The whole body seemed to be torn apart, and the head was missing. The whole body was thrown there randomly like a broken rag, and the dark red blood was smeared everywhere, like a masterpiece of a naughty child. Thriller, weird, despair, this is the main tone of the horror game. Looking at these scenes, Luo Shu felt even more scared. He was breathing rapidly, his pupils were dilated, and his heart was beating fast. From a medical point of view, it is difficult to distinguish between excitement and nervousness. Luo Shu took off his mask to let himself breathe more smoothly. Once, fear, Luo Shu's brain function will be extremely active, and his thinking ability will increase exponentially. He opened the nurse's hand that was not completely stiff, and took out the scalpel. The menu appears, the weapon bar is unlocked, and the weapon attributes are displayed. Name, a sharp scalpel. Question mark question mark question mark question mark. Type, weapon, question mark question mark question mark question mark. Quality, normal. Injury, weaker, question mark question mark question mark question mark. Function, cut what, question mark question mark question mark question mark. Whether the script can be brought out, number. Question mark question mark question mark question mark. Remarks, every inch is short and every inch is risky. Luo Shu is held in the hand. If nothing else, this is the weapon to solve the threat. The reminder is very clear. In the crude operating room, he groped around again, fumbling around, trying things out. Luo Shu also found that many things will pop up the system prompts. They should all be useful things. Name: vinyl record player. Type: drama related. Quality: normal. Function: play record. Whether the script can be brought out. Number. Remarks: why did this thing appear in the operating room? Because its owner really loves listening to music. Luo Shu really didn't understand. What is the use of a vinyl record player? It is simply against the law to have this thing appearing next to the operating table. But that's not the weirdest. Next to the operating table was an organ refrigerated storage box. When I opened it, I found a canine nose inside. One with a full nasal cavity attached, a dog nose. Name: preserved complete dog nose. Type: drama related. Quality: normal. Function: superior sense of smell. Whether the script can be brought out. Number. Remarks: can I still smell the delicious shit? Excluding the remarks of bad taste, Luo Shu's abnormally high-speed brain quickly deduced a high-probability situation based on the existing information when he was fear. There is a perverted doctor who is doing a perverted animal experiment. It doesn't matter whether the experiment failed or succeeded. In short, the animal lost control, the doctor escaped, the animal chased him, bit him into a ball of minced meat, and took his head away. The nurse originally wanted to run, but she didn't escape. She was scratched on her neck and injured a large blood vessel. Then she quickly hid in, closed the door, and shut the thing out. However, the large artery lost blood, and it was too late to stop the bleeding, and he died of excessive blood loss soon. So, here comes the question. What about that cute little animal? The door of the laboratory is also a transparent tempered glass door. Luo Shu walked over, pressed the handle, and carefully opened a crack. Many standalone games or horror movies, in order to scare people, like to trigger the plot when the door is opened. So Luo Shu is very careful. It is also logically reasonable. Not long after the two died, the place is so quiet, even dead silent. It is very possible that the instigator realized his appearance and has already hidden himself, like a cheetah lurking in the grass, ready to deliver a fatal blow at any time. Sure enough, a crack in the door just opened. A huge black shadow rushed over from the side, soundlessly, but as fast as thunder. Luo Shu slammed the door shut. Boom! The thing couldn't break enough and slammed into the glass door. Only then did Luo Shu see the animal clearly. Do not see the true appearance of this monster. He was wrong just now. What is done here is not a perverted animal experiment. It's a sewing experiment between humans and animals. An indescribable Stitch monster is roaring and beating on the reinforced glass door. He is a skinny man on the upper body, but on the lower body are many octopus-like slippery tentacles. If that's the case, then it's just a gram version of Dr. Octopus. But more than that, on the bald head of this monster, there are a pair of horns of a goat, just like a demon in religious legends. The face is even scarier and weirder. His eyes seem to be injured, corroded by some kind of liquid, bloody. No nose, just bloody hollows. The most terrifying thing is his mouth. It was a feline mouth. Humans can open their mouths to 30 to 45, while felines can open more than 100. The huge fangs were covered with dark red coagulated blood. Behind the monster, two arms full of black hair were stretched out, hitting the door of the laboratory hard. As a medical student with excellent academic performance, Luo Shu immediately confirmed that the main body of the monster was human, but the body was spliced with animal parts. After confirming this, Luo Shu gradually opened his eyes wide, looking at the creation in front of you in disbelief. Pupil earthquake, he murmured unconsciously. The horns of the big pan sheep. The upper and lower jaws and teeth of Mengjalahu. The arms of the silverback gorilla. Some kind of octopus tentacles. Luo Shu's voice was so small that the people watching the live broadcast could not hear it clearly. All they could see was Luo Shu's reaction. At this time, there were already 10 people in the live broadcast room. Barrage. Look, I'm a novice after all, so I'm still afraid. Stress reaction. Very normal. This thing, who doesn't shake after seeing it? I was terrified through the screen. It is estimated that the sand value of this kid has gone crazy. Is there anyone betting on coins? I bet 10 coins. This little doctor is about to pee his pants, ha ha ha. Forget it, I don't want to waste coins on Mengxin. Mengxin really has nothing to look at, and is about to withdraw, see you later. However, Luo Shu's next reaction was beyond everyone's expectations. Luo Shu's hands were shaking with excitement. His eyes reflected this terrifying and distorted splicing monster, but it was full of sickly flying spirits. What a beautiful creature. In the studio, there was a moment of silence. What did he just say? Ah, beautiful. Say this stuff, beautiful. What, little brother? You. What deformed aesthetics? Doctor, with all due respect, you may be sick. This guy is mentally abnormal. I want to see his sand value. Luo Shu really felt from the bottom of his heart that this splicing monster has a strange beauty. The human body is not perfect, and it can even be said that there are many fatal flaws. And the limbs of those animals fill in the weaknesses of human limbs. From the perspective of survival aesthetics, although the traces of those splicing operations are still heavy, but really beautiful, Luo Shu's heart skipped a beat, and at the same time, a strong impulse emerged. I want to dissect it. See if the viscera inside is what I thought it would be. A white energy bar appeared in front of his eyes. This is your sand value, an important value in horror games. Sand value can be understood as the specific value of sanity, spirit, and will. In the game, monsters and events with strong impact are often encountered, and the player's sand value will be consumed accordingly. The lowering of the sand value will affect your behavior and increase the risk. If the sand value is reduced to 0, you will be permanently insane. Your current sand value, 108%. Luo Shu looked at it and roughly understood it. Now some horror board games that are specially scary have this kind of setting. He just doesn't quite get it. Why does my sand value exceed 100%? Others didn't understand, and the live broadcast room exploded even more. 108%. What the hell? The system is malfunctioning. The normal full-scale value is 100%. If you are a little frightened, it will drop to more than 90%. Yes, generally speaking, if you face such a terrifying NPC, the probability of falling below 50% is very high. I have also seen those who go straight to 0 and go crazy. There is something wrong with this Mengxin, very wrong. It's the first time I've seen the sand value can grow inversely. Next, the system introduced health and stamina. The physical value is still 92%, and the life value is full. Luo Shu's thinking is running fast at the moment, and he has already understood the safety of the novice mode. This novice task is to let me get familiar with the game first, and there is basically no danger. Thinking of this, he calmed down a little. The sand value returns to 100%. This situation makes the audience look stupid. Luo Shu took a deep breath, opened the door directly, and let the monster in. Audience. They also know that novice missions are safe, but they have never seen such a cute newcomer. What is the experience of facing such a monster that is comparable to the big boss of a horror movie? There is also a limit to human psychological endurance. After the monster came in, it bit off half of Luo Shu's head in one bite. Pain like never before. Make Luo Shu fear Feng again. But as expected, the head grows out again. Luo Shu became nervous again, and the sand value began to rise again. 105%, 109%, 112%. The more exciting, the higher his sand value and the faster his thinking. In the horror game, Luo Shu's weird traits have been digitized. Holding a scalpel, he made several attempted attacks. The octopus tentacle part of the splicing monster is scratched and will heal itself quickly, but it is not as fast as Luo Shu's system that locks blood and heals itself. The splicing monster also used several methods to kill him. Smash the top of the skull, cut off the cervical spine, squeeze to death, and so on. Although he is not dead, the severe pain is very real. Luo Shu didn't change his face, and continued to practice and experiment with monsters slowly. Even this mosaic monster that lost its human sanity felt a little uneasy. Appear more irritable. The way he killed Luo Shu was even more bloody and cruel. And Luo Shu also left many scalpel scratches on his upper body. The human upper body heals very slowly. About there. After the 12th resurrection with full blood, Luo Shu felt that it was time to move on to the next step. The task for a novice is very simple, and he has already figured out how the standard answer should be tested. This monster is obviously much stronger than him, and it is impossible to win in a normal confrontation, unless he is exhausted to death by relying on the infinite resurrection benefits of novices. But this is obviously not the standard answer. Luo Shu squatted down nimbly, dodging the blind sweep of the monster's blind tentacles, walked straight to the record player without even looking at him. In the drawer, there is a vinyl record. Placed on the record player, Michael Jackson's classic song Dangerous, Dangerous suddenly sounded. The monster was blind and could only rely on hearing, and his head suddenly turned to the side. Luo Shu took this opportunity to let the music cover him, and walked behind the monster with the organ refrigerator against the wall. Then put down the box and walked out the door. Inside the door, there was a breaking sound. The singing stopped, and the record player was obviously disabled by the monster. The number of people in the live broadcast room has increased to 18. Without drainage, the cuteness of horror games is hardly noticed. 18 people is already a lot, because the turnover rate is low. They all looked dumbfounded. I can't understand what Luo Shu wants to do. I want to perform a vivisection on him. Luo Shu knew that someone might be watching the live broadcast in his game, so he simply said it. He walked into the corridor outside the operating room, stroked his chin, and looked around. If he is killed, the mission is over, and he will be sent out directly. So I came out to see if I can find anesthesia. There should be no anesthesiology department here. Where are the anesthetics? It's so troublesome. Luo Shu stepped on the rotten meat in the corridor as if nothing had happened, and walked into the dark depths without lights. The 18 viewers in the live broadcast room looked at this stern figure in a white coat. I just feel cold all over. One counts as one, and goosebumps all over their bodies. Brothers, do you have this feeling? Is he the monster? Luo Shu could have ended the mission long ago. The novice task is really simple, and the prompts are so clear. 3 props. The scalpel is a weapon used to kill monsters. Dog nose, pointing to one of the monster's weak spots. It should be that the monster lost control before the nose was transplanted, so he has no nose and no sense of smell. There is also a prop, a record player. At first, Luo Shu didn't know what this thing was used for. Later, when he saw the monster, he understood. The monster is blind, has no nose, only hearing. The ears are still human ears, and the eyes can see that they were melted blind by corrosive liquid in the previous battle. Then, the moment the record player is playing is an opportunity to kill monsters. Just a split second will do. The upper body of the monster, from the neck to the chest, is full of fatal points. But, Luo Shu really wanted to dissect him. What? After walking a few steps, he found that there was a real darkness in front of him, which produced an invisible thrust, making him unable to move forward. Because it is a novice guide task, so the map is very small, then there is no way. The map that can be moved is only the operating room and a little bit of the surrounding area. Luo Shu had no choice but to return. Boom, boom, bang. Yua. In the operating room, the splicing monster was demolishing the house. Standing outside, Luo Shu saw the octopus tentacles dancing wildly inside. Luo Shu opened the door, and the movement was as natural as returning to the bedroom. The splicing monster stopped suddenly, and suddenly looked back. Blind eyes seemed to still be able to see. Lock Luo Shu instantly. Immediately rush over. Luo Shu possessed him, picked up the organ refrigerator he had placed by the door, and threw it forward. Snap. Hit the wall. The splicing monster turned sharply, opened its bloody mouth, and swooped over. Luo Shu stepped forward quickly, nimbly bypassing the flying tentacles behind the splicing monster, handed over the sharp scalpel lightly, and pierced the monster's spine. The wrist trembled slightly, the tip of the knife slashed and twisted. The aggressive splicing monster suddenly froze. Then it was as if the bones of his whole body had been pumped out, and he collapsed, unable to move at all, only gasping and twitching nervously. The splicing monster's lumbar spine was precisely injured, paralyzed, and completely unconscious from the neck down. And Luo Shu's set of movements is smooth and flowing. It doesn't look thrilling and gorgeous, but it's better than strolling in the courtyard. Afterwards, Luo Shu wiped the blood-stained scalpel with the corner of his white coat, with a gentle and calm look, as if he was wiping his glasses. If you don't find an anesthetic, let's use physical anesthesia. Studio. Physical anesthesia is absolutely dead. So handsome. Really handsome. Have you noticed a detail? The doctor has already carried the refrigerator to the door. I noticed. I didn't know what he wanted to do. It turned out that I had thought about it a long time ago. When I came back, I smashed this box on the wall to attract the attention of the monster, and then killed it with a knife. It's not fatal. He still needs to be dissected. Hiss. This shit is a novice. Don't offend the doctor. Luo Shu studied the monster's wound and confirmed that the recovery speed of his lumbar spine was very slow. Then dragged onto the blood-stained operating table. After the splicing monster felt the cold texture of the operating table, he was obviously very scared and began to howl. Luo Shu fixed him, took out a new mask and gloves from the warehouse and put them on, comforting, "Don't be afraid, it won't hurt, you are already paralyzed." Stitching monster. Stitching monster. Luo Shu's gaze was like a torch. He bent down, cut the knife with precision, and cut open. Trigger hidden mission. Hidden mission. Obtain the core technology of body transformation from the experimental body LB-221. Luo Shu was stunned for a moment. He didn't expect that there would be hidden tasks in the novice trial. There is a little surprise. The task also gave some hints. It proved his original idea, so Luo Shu continued to dissect. Suddenly, he thought of his current behavior, which might seem a little uncomfortable. If someone outside was watching his live broadcast, it would cause misunderstanding. So while dissecting, I intend to explain to myself. Well, if someone reads again. This is actually for the advancement of medicine. Well, the advancement of medicine. I heard that horror games are not just virtual games. So this splicing monster is likely to exist based on a real medical basis. The limbs of different animals can be spliced into one creature, and they can be used freely. This at least solves the big problem of rejection. If there is a chance to come back after the game is over, this knowledge may contribute to mankind. Yes, it is like that. Barrage in the live broadcast room. Okay, I believe it. Boss, whatever you say is what it is. I really want to blame people, humans, true, for doing a good contribution play. Your SAN value is already 120%. Brother, the monster said that his SAN value is about to drop out. The first time I feel sorry for the boss of a horror game, he looks pitiful, weak and helpless now. Luo Shu became more and more excited because he proved his idea. In the monster's body, the internal organs of the human beings have all been replaced through surgery. What kind of medical technology is this? In short, the ugly and twisted monster on the operating table is in stark contrast to the doctor wearing a mask. Everyone in the live broadcast room trembled as they watched. Since the operation process is too cruel, it is omitted here. After the operation, Luo Shu used a needle to draw a tube of blood from the monster. He thought that if he could take it out, maybe he could find the answer to the rejection reaction. The inventory appears. Name: blood with Bt immunosuppressant. Type: contaminated products. Quality: poor. Function: with the help of professional medical equipment, Bt immunosuppressants can be isolated. Whether the script can be brought out? Yes. Remarks: I can't understand. What kind of Bt can extract blood from this tube in this task? Luo Shu. Am I scolded by item notes for horror games? The hidden mission has been completed. He glanced at the monster on the operating table, then turned the scalpel and cut into the back of the head. Precisely cut off the back of the monster's head. Brain death is the most accurate death determination in medicine. It is also Luo Shu's kindness. The threat has been completely eliminated. The novice guide task has been completed and is preparing for transmission. The task is completed, and there is a 90-second countdown, or you can choose to send it directly. It is estimated that players have time to clean up the battlefield, pick up equipment, or enjoy the post-war sage time. Luo Shu searched the operating room very pragmatically. Make sure nothing is missed, and the countdown has come to an end. He disappeared in place. The reward is being settled for you, please wait. Luo Shu only felt the picture in front of him flicker. In a blink of an eye, he appeared in another place. White, Covers everything. Luo Shu turned his head and looked around. It was an oval-shaped pure white room with nothing, no objects, and no lights, but a hazy white light came from the walls. Settlement has been completed. Main task, 1/1. Hidden mission, 1/1. Clear the script and get experience points, 10. Clear the script and get game coins, 50. Acquired items equipment, blood with BT immunosuppressant. According to the player's specific performance in the script, unlock the field, X6. Field of fighting, E. Sword domain, E. Spiritual domain, E. Biological domain, E. Medical field, E. Exploration field, E. Comprehensive score, A+. Extra experience value, game currency bonus, 50%. Experience points, 15. Game currency, 75. Number of fans, 22. Fan coin, 5. This long string of words appeared in his eyes. Luo Shu has now left the rookie mission. Without the terror threat in the script world, his heartbeat has also calmed down. The brain has also degenerated to the normal level. Therefore, this pile of settlement words made him a little overwhelmed for a while. Unlock the domain. What kind of game is the field? I haven't heard of it. The game system answers. Domain is a unique gameplay setting for horror games. Simply put, it is the scope of ability. According to the player's performance in the game, the relevant fields will be continuously strengthened. It can be understood as proficiency in a certain aspect. The higher the domain level, the better the skills and equipment you can learn. The promotion levels from low to high in the field are E, D, C, B, A, S. Luo Shu couldn't help pursing his lips, and nodded approvingly. Okay. Thriller games forcibly pull young adults around the world. Although they are perverted and overbearing, they have really become players. Smart services are still in place. Luo Shu has a good mentality, and belongs to the type of what comes and goes. Even in this situation, he can still joke about mysterious and terrifying thriller games. His personality often makes people around him think that he is probably mentally abnormal. He asked again, how many grades are there? What are the scoring standards? The game quickly gave an answer. Luo Shu glanced at it. The lowest judgment level for customs clearance is E, and the experience value and game currency will be reduced by an additional 90%. This estimate is a proper fool. But here's the good news. At least, Hunzi can also pass the level. And the highest judgment is S+, which adds 200% of the experience value and game coins. Luo Shu was a little hurt immediately. With a depressed face, I actually only have A+. There are S+ on it. The more he thought about it, the more sad he became, and he held his head. It's actually 3 years behind. Frightened face. I actually failed the exam. Obviously, Luo Shu is really not normal. He was suddenly pulled into a supernatural game where he was about to die at every turn. He still upholds the bad habit of being a top student, pursuing full marks. Meanwhile, the other side. His original world. After Luo Shu's game is over, there will be a 180-second countdown in the live broadcast room. On the black screen, there are only 2 lines of text. The player has cleared the level. Comprehensive evaluation, A+. Unlike Luo Shu's indignation, there are now a total of 26 people in the live broadcast room. Each of them was dumbfounded by the high score. A+. Have you ever seen A+? Fortunately, I saw it once in the live broadcast room of Mrs. Feng, just once. Feng Po Niang is the pet name of a little god player. She was one of the first batch of players who were drawn into the horror game half a year ago, and now she has accumulated a lot of fame. I've seen it a few times, but this is a newcomer. This is a novice task. I have never seen a hidden mission in the novice mission. The final anatomy is really. I'll vomit for a while. Luo Shu. Find out where this guy came from. I want to edit this video of him. Po to meager. Station P. It must be hot. This dude is too lazy. Follow decisively. This guy, if he is lucky enough to survive 5 or 6 scripted worlds, he probably has a chance to become a little god-level player. Brother, you have a big tone. Let's just talk about the most powerful master players now. Look through the video records of their novice missions. Who is so powerful? Yes or yes, Officer Aaron seems to be rated S. Officer Aaron is a very high-level god-level player. Another spectator couldn't help saying, Aaron is very powerful, but he was fast enough for the novice task at that time. This Luo Shu didn't get an S grade because he was too slow. Can't find the words to describe it. I think, this Luo Shu, he is not powerful, but evil classic. Right, the word is exquisite. Cult. Just these 20 or so people chatted excitedly in the soon-to-be closed live broadcast room. 22 people have clicked to follow just now, and now the rest of them have also clicked. After paying attention to the player, the next time the player enters the game, they will be reminded to watch it in time. ... Hey, there are 4 more people, 26 people. Luo Shu was able to see instant changes in the number of followers. As long as the mind moves, open the personal panel and you can see it. In such a short period of time, he basically understood all the problems he wanted to figure out. As long as there are questions related to the rules, the service system of the horror game will answer all questions. What is the scoring mechanism? Luo Shu, who was once known as the monster test of Jiaodong University School of Medicine, asked. He wants full marks. The game system replied. Since it is a comprehensive score, it is naturally a comprehensive consideration. It will be based on the player's clearance time, the number of completed tasks, skill values, and even viewing and excitement. The list goes on and on. It is recommended that players do not demand high scores, because in addition to the novice guide mission, in other script worlds, failure means death. The word death, light and fluffy, enters from the left ear and exits from the right. Luo Shu rubbed his chin, meditating like a dead primary school student. Oh, because there are audiences, we also need to consider the viewing and excitement, that is, we need to spend more time playing. Show off. Also, in the exam just now, did I really lose points in the clearance time? The game system seemed to be unable to bear it anymore, and reminded, the point is death, death. It is recommended that players not be demanding. Luo Shu waved his hands, as if trying to drive the buzzing flies out of his head. I know, don't repeat it. If you lose, you die, I know. The game system was silent for a while. Luo Shu spent a little time thinking about the most efficient path to get a high score. Getting high marks is fun and challenging. In the face of this matter, death, the doomed end of life, is not so important. Now that you have entered this game, you must have fun. Then I asked, as fans the number of viewers in the live broadcast room. Are there fans who can give rewards? Where do they get the game currency? Game system answer. The audience will only be confirmed as a fan if they follow the player. Viewers can get game currency by recharging. The current exchange rate in Shaoguo district is about 101. Luo Shu was speechless. Game coins are so expensive. From this point of view, the reward of 5 game coins is quite a lot. For a newcomer who just entered the game, a passerby casually rewarded 500 yuan of soft sister coins. She must be a kind rich woman. Suddenly, the game system reminded again. In the previous game, if the player's sand value drop rate was less than 30%, he could get an extra chance to draw a lottery. Your sand value decline rate, 0%. Lottery ticket times 1. Luo Shu was taken aback. Is the sand value a very important setting? There are additional lottery activities. Luo Shu doesn't even know now that it is an extremely abnormal situation for his sand value to rise instead of drop. He also thought that as long as the mentality is healthy enough, the sand value cannot drop. The better the mentality, the higher the rise in the face of difficulties. So he calmly clicked on the lottery ticket in his mind. Lucky draw ticket, all categories, as long as it is within the applicable range of the player's current level, equipment, items, and special props of any quality can be drawn here. Are you using it now? Luo Shu rubbed his hands excitedly. Don't beep, let's draw a lottery. An exaggerated animated colorful gift box appeared in front of my eyes. It seemed that something was about to rush out of it. After swelling for a while, it suddenly exploded with a boom. Streamers and fireworks flying. A long knife with a shiny wooden handle appeared in the animation special effects. Congratulations to the players. Get the 5th prize. Luo Shu complained. The 5th prize. Can it be lower? Acquire a weapon, a machete. Luo Shu continued to complain. It seems impossible. Suddenly, there was a wave of fluctuation in front of my eyes. Animated special effects are distorted. It's like the performance of an old TV when the electrical signal is unstable. Acquire a weapon, a machete. Data deletion, modification data. The machete animation is smeared out. Then a delicate and small lancet appeared. Acquire a weapon, brain stem removal scalpel. The special effects of the animation disappeared, and a real scalpel appeared in front of Luo Shu, in a vertical posture, floating against gravity. Luo Shu has been in a daze since the signal disturbance just now. What happened? The original prize. Was modified by some kind of power. He immediately thought of the abnormal source code that was prompted when he first entered the game. Exception source code. What the hell? Is there a bug? Luo Shu has never felt that there is a problem with himself, so it is difficult to realize what the abnormal source code represents. Thinking of being able to card bug, I was a little excited. Take this scalpel and check the information. Name, brainstem scalpel. Type, weapon. Quality, normal. Injury, weaker. Attribute, law of karma. Special effects. After determining the range, as long as you wave it within the range, you can penetrate all physical obstacles, and 100% accurately remove the zombie's brainstem, making it incapacitated. Usage requirements. Reach E in the field of medical skills, have at least one hand, in various senses. Remarks. The zombie opened the zombie's head, and then left disappointed. Luo Shu weighed the weight and threw it into the equipment rack. The equipment bar and item bar are like the storage space in fantasy novels, with limited capacity, but at least they allow players to travel lightly. This weapon should have miraculous effects against zombies, but if it's used for other purposes, it's no different from an ordinary scalpel. Luo Shu can only hope that in the next dungeon world, hundreds of zombies will come to him to collect points. I don't know when the next time I enter the game. I'm so nervous. Luo Shu stretched his waist, walked towards a white door on the right, opened it, and saw another white space. This should be the player's basic living room. The living room has a minimalist decoration style and consists of two parts. Toilet and bedroom. The bedroom only has a bed, a desk, and no computer, which can only meet people's needs at a minimum. Everything is pure white, spotless and unpleasant. Directly ahead, there is a double door. Luo Shu walked over and opened the door, expecting to see a colorful main city of players, a safe area where people come and go. Sword Art Online. Here I come. He pushed open the two doors with great interest. Look out with a smile on your face. Then he froze for a moment. Ah, this. Outside. It's a vast expanse of cosmic starry sky. The door that Luo Shu opened is like a small spot of light that is out of place in the universe. And in the universe in front of Luo Shu, there is still a line of words floating. The horror game is in the closed beta stage, the public area is not yet open, please understand. The public area is not open, so Luo Shu can only huddle in the bedroom space of 15.6 square meters bored, studying the horror game system interface in his mind. How come he knows the size of the bedroom in the suite, and it is accurate to the decimal point? Because Luo Shu measured it with his own feet and walked around twice to be sure. It's that boring. It took another half an hour to read the general rules of the horror game 12 times in detail. Then he gets hungry. Luo Shu soon discovered that he had to buy food from the mall as well. The game mall is roughly divided into two parts. Part of it is the unlocked player trading mall. One can tell at a glance that the things here will be freely traded by players, and the market will set prices freely. It is estimated that there will be many opportunities and pitfalls to make money. Can only be unlocked after level 5. The other part is the self-operated mall for horror games. At present, there are very few things in the self-operated mall. After a general look, there are only some simple clothing, daily necessities, and food. There is everything to eat, and it is absolutely delicious and cheap. Whether it's street food or a seafood feast, 1 point of game currency per serving. Then, I'm not going to be polite. Luo Shu tried to order a Xiaoguo Court Lu cuisine set meal. In the bedroom, a small round table covered with a pale gold tablecloth appeared out of thin air. On the table, there are 3 dishes of cold dishes, 5 bowls of hot dishes, 2 main dishes, a fruit platter, and a jug of wine. The set meal is indeed a simplified configuration of palace dishes. But, still beautifully presented, full of aroma. Next to the dishes, there is also a delicate cloth with the name of each dish written on it. Fried belly with mandarin ducks, fried sheep with wine, fried dumplings with 5 treasures, and Yukon wine of unknown age. Luo Shu swallowed, his eyes stared straight. The next moment, he immediately pounced on it. Wind and clouds. Outside world. On the P station, there is now a special section for horror games. It's because this supernatural horror game is so popular. As long as any website is still interested in traffic, it is impossible to let go of the big fad of horror games. In particular, the material of the horror game has no copyright, and everyone is open to download. At the beginning, the authorities still wanted to take care of them. After all, they were caught in the game for no reason, and they were precarious. They would die if they said they would die, but people outside still took them as a show and watched them for fun. It was really inhumane. Unfortunately, horror games seem to be spread on purpose. All shielding and deleting can't solve the problem, unless the network cable is pulled. Over time, the officials followed him. Today, there is a cute new video on the P station, which suddenly became popular. An up master of the horror game zone released a new video. Title: Have you ever seen a player whose sand value is locked and can even reverse growth? Just this simple title has attracted many people. Nothing else. I just haven't seen it. A group of people watched the video of the main editor of Up. It's almost the whole process of Luo Shu's novice task, no cutting, pure handling, only a little commentary added. This Up master is one of Luo Shu's current 26 fans. He roughly understood Luo Shu's thoughts and operations during the game, and gave an aria-style explanation. Many people watched the full video and chanted along with the Up master. The sand value can actually go up. The doctor's knife skills are so coquettish. He dissected this monster. He was dissected. This style of painting is completely different from other players. Luo Shu, whose painting style is a bit morbid, became popular like this. In the evening, this wave of small popularity has spread to short video platforms such as Douyin. Perverted killer painting style, love. Watching other players progress, I've been very worried and scared, like watching a real horror movie, but why this little brother doesn't feel that way at all. Same, not scared at all. I even want to laugh a little. I'm a little scared to feel that monster. Horror games, after all, are adventures with real life, so most viewers have a kind of masochistic mentality, watching them with trepidation. The players you like may die at any time, and the appearance of death may be extremely miserable. This is a great psychological pressure. However, when they watched Luo Shu's video, they felt a strange sense of relaxation. A comment was highly praised and pinned to the top. I think it's such a feeling. It's like seeing a perverted murderer in an old Hong Kong movie, such as The Butcher on a Rainy Night, messed up in a horror movie in Hallyu. So, the cold-blooded murderer cold-bloodedly killed a horror movie monster. There is a sense of the boss seeing the boss, the king sees the king, and the alien versus predator. There are monsters on both sides, and no one suffers. Yes, it is like that. At the same time, in Zhonghai City, Jiaodong University School of Medicine is also in chaos. The students rushed to tell each other. Have you heard? Anatomy class. Luo Shu, a sophomore in clinical medicine, disappeared. Luo Shu, that's the one. Student demon exam. Well, it's him. In the anatomy class, many people watched, and suddenly disappeared. Could it be a horror game? Your news is too late. Look, this buddy has already become popular at Station P. A game that was only entered in the afternoon, but it became popular at night. How is it possible? If it's him, it's really possible. Ah, senior sister, can you tell me in detail? I've also heard some rumors about Luo Shu, and I don't know if it's true or not. Keep your voice down, tell you, don't talk nonsense. Luo Shu, besides his brains, he also has a little evil. Basically, as long as the players selected into the horror game have survived a few rounds of the scripted world, all their identity information and biographical information will be picked up. As for Luo Shu, it was even faster. On the one hand, his performance in the novice mission was too appalling. On the other hand, because he himself is a legend in a small area. On the campus forum, someone wrote a post, which has now been forwarded to many platforms. Luo Shu is also a legend in medical school. I'm 2 years older than him, so I can be regarded as a scumbag who has been secretly following him, so I won't reveal my identity, I'm hiding it. Go on. Luo Shu was admitted to the School of Medicine of Jiaotong University as the champion of science in Zhonghai City. Although science is invincible, but liberal arts results are not very good. I heard that it was dragged down by a 0-point composition. That year, his composition was supposed to be about music. As a result, his composition was called The Melody of Death. This composition has not been circulated, it is only passed on by word of mouth. The content seems to be very powerful. It is said that Junior Luo Shu drew the death scenes of various creatures. Yes, it was drawn on the answer sheet. I heard it is very artistic. The painting is really good. But I was lucky enough to see it with my own eyes. Behind the painting, a corresponding poem was written. I haven't seen it either, but there is such a short passage circulating in the school. Death is never the end, death is the leap of the soul. Single quote. Death is never night, death is frozen time. Single quote. Inexplicably emotional. 0 points is too much. And he is really handsome. A gloomy medical handsome guy. I have no resistance at all. Although his roommate said that he looks like a sand sculpture, and he is not as gloomy in temperament, which is very strange, very inconsistent, and unimaginable. By the way, I heard that there is another strange story in the school, which is also related to him. Last year, several general teachers disappeared mysteriously. In general, the teacher is the donated body, which can be regarded as a kind of honor. But, it is also a body. Mysterious disappearance. Terrible. Never found it. Then we discovered a scary thing. These general teachers who disappeared were all dissected by Luo Shu in class. Let's stop here for now, there are so many legends about Luo Shu. Alumni are welcome to share. Finally, no matter what, I hope this junior will never be killed by those ghosts in the game. Must survive. Sister, wait for you to grow up. As soon as this post came out, Luo Shu suddenly became more mysterious. Ever since, the popularity has also increased. Many people have already started to actively enter the horror game app and search for the player name, Luo Shu. Click follow. Luo Shu ate and drank enough, and fell asleep. He didn't know how long he slept, but he woke up and went to wash his face. According to his own estimation, it is about 10 o'clock in the evening now. After all, he always sleeps for 4 hours every time, no matter when and where he falls asleep. After washing his face, Luo Shu sat on the toilet and thought. This game should be compulsory, right? When is the next time you enter the scripted world? Just come. Player, please get ready, go to the teleportation area, and get ready to enter the game. Countdown 60 seconds. Luo Shu hurriedly stood up, knowing that the teleportation area was the small oval-shaped room next to it. It came so fast. It seems that entering the script world is not a fixed time. The system will start immediately after I have a rest. It's kind of humanitarian. Luo Shu also has an impulse. If he doesn't enter the teleportation zone, what will happen when the countdown is up? Just thinking about it, I still don't want to die. When he arrived at the teleportation area, Luo Shu opened them all to see if there were any optional equipment or items. I watched it for dozens of seconds. Use up. Complete. No. Have. In the self-operated shopping mall that has been unlocked, the clothes don't even have any special attributes, it's just spending money to buy skins. The equipment is only ordinary swords, guns, swords and halberds, and the uniform price is 10 game coins. This kind of common goods has very little effect in the script world, and there is no need to waste the precious game currency in the early stage. Luo Shu put his hands in the pockets of his white coat and sighed faintly. Forget it, the closed beta version is a closed beta version after all. It's normal to be crude. 3, 2, 1, start teleportation. Welcome to the horror game. The opening tone this time comes from a hoarse and ugly old lady. The petals are falling. Pink petals. Many pink petals fluttered down, floating in front of my eyes. Luo Shu was a little taken aback. Reach out, catch the petals, and crush them with your fingers. Cherry blossoms. He turned his head and looked at the lush cherry blossom tree beside him, and the girl under the tree who was wearing a modern Special Forces battle uniform. This picture is quite strange. In the courtyard of a Japanese-style villa, under the beautiful cherry blossom trees, stood a gloomy young man in a white coat. It was really gloomy looking from the sidelines, and a girl dressed as a special soldier, armed to the teeth. Yang Shulin turned around nervously, drew his gun and pointed at Luo Shu, and said nervously, "Who?" Above their heads, the current level and name appeared. Luo Shulf 1, Poplar Forest LV3. Then they both saw a task message at the same time. This game is a 2-player team mode. The main task has been triggered. Survive for 12 hours. When Luo Shu saw the task, she began to think, but did not answer her. Anyway, my name should be on the top of my head, so I don't need to answer. Real name game, what an idiot. Yang Shulin was a little overly nervous just now, but after seeing Luo Shu's level, his mood calmed down, but he lost his sense of security. Oh, why am I a rookie at level 1? Isn't the pressure all on me this time? She also just entered the game not long ago. In addition to novice missions, she also experienced 8 scripted worlds. He glanced sideways at Luo Shu and saw that the younger brother at level 1 seemed very nervous. He walked over and patted Luo Shu on the shoulder carelessly. "Anne, little brother, don't be nervous. You are only level 1, this script world will not be difficult. Just be careful, I have already gone through 8 rounds of purgatory training, and this time I will cover you of." Luo Shu smiled, "That's really troublesome for you." "It's easy to say." Yang Shulin waved his hand generously. This game prohibits players from the same team from killing each other, so as long as the person who appears as a teammate, he will not be too wary. Raising his head, Yang Shulin looked vigilantly at the dilapidated Japanese-style villa in front of him, helped his German bulletproof helmet, and squeezed the Varda PPK pistol he got in the previous script world, and walked forward nervously. "Little brother, you follow me." Luo Shu first walked to the gate of the courtyard. Outside the aluminum fence gate of the courtyard was a gray fog that could not be penetrated by sight. He trying to push the fence, but was pushed back by invisible resistance. Yang Shulin found that no one responded to him, looked back, and saw Luo Shu's behavior, curled his lips. "Don't run around, the world of scripts is usually delimited, and here it seems to be delimited in the villa." Luo Shu has a good temper. "Oh. Good. I'm just trying to find the range." Yang Shulin said unhappily. "Don't mess around. Otherwise, you will trigger some danger. I can't protect you." Then he continued to explore the way, muttering, "A rookie at level 1, still hugging my thigh honestly. What a shame, not too smart." Luo Shu walked around the cherry tree. This cherry blossom tree is really too lush. It seems to be 30 meters high, which is a height he has never seen before. The branches are luxuriant, like a big pink umbrella, covering most of the courtyard. Luo Shu suddenly said, "The cherry blossoms are so beautiful, I don't know if they are watered and nourished with human flesh and blood." This unreasonable sentence made Yang Shulin feel cold behind his back. What the hell are you talking about?" Luo Shu put his hands in the pockets of his white coat, and walked leisurely. "It's nothing, just kidding. In many vulgar horror stories, aren't there corpses buried under cherry blossom trees? If we find tools, we can dig under the cherry tree, maybe you can find some surprises." Yang Shulin felt goosebumps all over her body. She was most afraid of ghost stories. Stop talking." She looked Luo Shu up and down with her eyes, and reprimanded, "Follow me well, don't just talk nonsense to scare people." Luo Shu straightened his expression. "I am half serious. Even from the perspective of scientific planting, it is unreasonable for cherry trees to grow so tall and bloom so densely. We dug up the soil below, and 80% the possibility of getting some useful clues." Before Yang Shulin entered the game, she was just an ordinary girl who was a food show host by profession. Whole person has nothing to do with courage. She doesn't listen to reason, she only knows that if you dig it out, you may see something terrifying. Then don't dig. Talk to yourself. No logic. Cut. A rookie is a rookie. Yang Shulin pretended to be too lazy to talk to him, summoned up his courage, pushed open the creaking old wooden door, and walked into the villa. Luo Shu looked at the cherry blossom trees under the gloomy sky, and was about to turn around and go in. Suddenly, the picture in front of him fluctuated and distorted, like an old TV that lost its signal. Come again. A piece of garbled code appeared in front of him, with the words, "abnormal source code," vaguely mixed in the middle. Then the screen suddenly changed. Tree, or the cherry blossom tree. But without blooming, the huge cherry tree is not bare and empty. Because it is covered with rotting corpses, swaying in the wind. The image is gone in a flash. Back to the status quo, the lush scene of cherry blossoms in full bloom. Luo Shu opened his mouth slightly, knowing it in his heart. This abnormal source code is really a golden finger. 100%. Then he turned and walked towards the lady with the strange name. Luo Shu knew that someone from the outside world might be watching them through the live broadcast. But he didn't know that in the live broadcast room he belonged to. At this moment, there are already more than 2,000 people. 4 hours ago, there were only 26 people. This is the fermentation speed of network media. The live broadcast room was very lively. Can't see anything special. The novice task is actually not difficult, it may be luck. Don't make trouble, if you are lucky, you can get the physical anesthesia knife. Don't be sour, okay. What does he mean by 100%? Didn't Luo Shu say before that there is an 80% chance of digging up the treasure? After watching for a while, he was 100% sure. What did he see? Nothing. This is the intuition of a perverted killer. I'm so lucky to be a medical student. What a perverted killer. Mainly temperament. What kind of temperament is there? It looks silly. As soon as I walked in, I felt that the temperature suddenly dropped a few degrees. This is a standard Japanese-style traditional villa. After entering from the gate, there is a porch and a deep corridor. At the end of the corridor, it was pitch black. Yang Shulin, who was wearing body armor and stab-proof clothing, couldn't tell whether it was cold or afraid. He shrank his neck and his heart was beating wildly. Nothing happened. Her SAN value has dropped below 85%. Luo Shu walked behind and looked sideways at the shoe cabinet. There were men's leather shoes, women's high heels and flat shoes, as well as sports shoes and sneakers. All covered with dust, but there is a shoe print position, which is relatively clean and free of dust. Luo Shu snorted, someone should live here. Ah, Yang Shulin suddenly turned around. What, is there someone living there? Luo Shu was a little speechless. You have interpreted an idiom called the frightened bird. Yang Shulin said angrily, I can tell. You are mocking me. How dare you mock me, a level 1 rookie? Luo Shu shook his head helplessly. Anything is fine, just don't move, don't turn your head. Yang Shulin raised his eyebrows. What's the matter, you still want to scare me? Are you trying to say that there is a ghost standing behind me? She snorted, and said stiffly, tisk tisk, my sister has gone through the script world 8 times, so it's not scary. She turned around as she spoke. A gigantic grimace close at hand, with empty eyes, was grinning at her. Head, face, mouth full of blood. Ah! Yang Shulin screamed and rushed out of the villa. The speed is 70 miles. Yang Shulin has never experienced the world of supernatural scripts, so he is in a bad mood. The moment he saw the grimace, the SAN value began to drop like a cliff. After running outside, it was still falling. Finally, the moment it fell below 30%. She passed out. He fell down during the sprint, forming a face break, and then in the inertia, his head hit the tree. Fortunately, wearing a bulletproof helmet, the health value has only dropped by 3%. At this point, she maintained an ugly posture, tilted her head, pouted her buttocks, and fainted peacefully. Although the cherry blossoms fell on her one by one. But there is no beauty at all. A female player like her who has experienced the scripted world 8 times, a beautiful player, no matter how many dishes she has, will attract many people's attention. What's more, her identity in reality is also a food show host who shows her face. Therefore, there are hundreds of people watching in the Yangshulin live broadcast room at the moment. The barrage at the moment. Opening square bracket ? The camera is fixed here. Not moving. I'm so. Ah, teammate who loves the woods. Will the SAN value drop to 30% and faint? No. The SAN value is a comprehensive value for judging the mental state, not everyone will faint. Some people will just go crazy if they return to 0, and will not faint. Ah, fainting is actually a kind of self-protection, which is a good thing to some extent. How do you play this? Fainted at the beginning. Although I am a fan of the woods, she is really good at cooking. I want to see what's going on inside. Let's change the live broadcast room. The one who saw the name at the beginning seems to be Luo Shu. I'll search it. The Kaiji teammates didn't know that her passivity was actually to drain Luo Shu. At this moment, Luo Shu is facing the horror. In front of him stood a ghost. A ghost in a suit and leather shoes, even carrying a briefcase. The ghost stepped forward, leaned over with blood on his face, stared at Luo Shu with empty eye sockets, showed pale teeth, and kept a piercing smile, saying, "Can you help me find my eyes?" This passage is in Japanese. But the horror game's system is amazing. Luo Shu clearly understands Japanese, but he can understand it. It appears that there is some kind of translation. Luo Shu was really not afraid this time. The san value only increased by 2 points. Because he knew very well that it was difficult for this ghost to cause too much harm to him. At the beginning of the game, I am a level 1 rookie. I have no accumulation, no weapons, no skills, and it is impossible to kill immediately when I come up. So he took a closer look. This ghost should have been quite handsome before he was alive, but unfortunately, the top of his skull was smashed, blood was left all over his face, and his eyes were gone, so he looked a little scary. Luo Shu suddenly replied, "Why eyes? To find your dead wife and children." This sentence is like a trigger point. The suit ghost's face immediately changed, becoming more distorted and painful. He dropped his briefcase, put his head in his hands, and started howling. "Ah, my wife, my daughter, ah." Luo Shu paid attention to his health and stamina. When he was in close contact with the suit ghost just now, he felt a coldness eroding his body, and at the same time, these two values were slowly decreasing. It looks like 1 point for a few seconds. As for the ghost in a suit, he is a little out of control now, and his power has also increased, almost losing 1 point of life and 2 points of stamina every second. Luo Shu quickly stepped back. When I arrived at the door, I still felt cold, but the value did not drop. Glancing outside, he saw that the female player in the team was lying peacefully, so he ignored her. He stood at the door, quietly observing. The ghost in suit collapsed for a while, then returned to normal, but his tone became colder and more ferocious, and he shouted at Luo Shu, "Get out! Get out, otherwise, you can come and stay with us." However, when Luo Shu heard this sentence, he took the initiative to stride towards him. The suit ghost was taken aback. "Aren't you not afraid of death?" Luo Shu walked in front of him, did not stop, and directly penetrated the ghost in a suit, half empty and half real. It felt like passing through a layer of viscous and cold liquid. Health has decreased slightly. Luo Shu didn't look back, and walked in. "You scare me, it means you are afraid of something. Either you can't kill me, or you have to pay a high price to kill me, or you don't want to kill me." The ghost in the suit turned around with a ferocious expression on his face. Luo Shu waved his hand. "I'll help you find your eyes, just wait." The ghost in suit seemed to want to do something and say something, but he actually endured it. He roared and disappeared into the corridor. At this moment, Luo Shu's live broadcast room is already boiling. Really so calm. After all, he is a medical student, so calm and cold. No, no, no. Not all medical students are like this. This guy is not normal. Look at his san value. Barely did not move, but reversed growth. What happened? Is it really a bug? San value is related to the mental state of human beings, which means that he will not be afraid. I won't be afraid. The san value should not move. Why is it still jumping up? No, how does he know? Wife and child. It's crazy. Such a big house is definitely not for one person to live in. Luo Shu saw the shoes. Sharp one. Both adults and children. It's all gray. All dead. Don't beep. Who cares? But this script world is very interesting. Why does this ghost just scare and not do it? Japanese-style villas are not big. At the end of the corridor is the living room. Luo Shu walked around the living room and found that everything inside was quite clean, which was different from the dilapidated look outside, which was very inconsistent. A clear and sweet girl's laughter suddenly sounded somewhere in the living room. Chapter 11. This laughter seems to have some kind of evil, which can directly stimulate people's central nervous system. Luo Shu was a little frightened. The san value rose slightly, his thinking was running fast, and he became alert. Father first, then daughter, scare me. What do you want? He muttered to himself. The task is to survive for 12 hours, it should be very dangerous. Suddenly, he heard the sound of something falling to the ground again. It's not loud, like a soft object. Snapped. Hee hee. The child's voice came again. It is the direction of the balcony. Then, there was the sound of something rolling. Luo Shu couldn't hear it very clearly, but when he thought of the ghost in suit's empty eye sockets and the request, he became a little excited for a moment. Find that. Maybe the story will move on. He rushed to the balcony in one stride. Look down. Luo Shu's excited expression suddenly collapsed. He squatted down, stretched out his hand, picked up the girl's head, and looked at it with disgust on his face. What? It's not the eyeballs. Yes, there is a lone head on the ground. It was the head of a 6 or 7-year-old girl with short bob hair and a bloody face. She was completely destroyed, but her black eyes were not injured, and the whole thing was very scary. She seemed to want to scare Luo Shu, but Luo Shu's reaction made her a little overwhelmed. That. Big brother. Can you accompany? Before the lines were finished, Luo Shu casually threw her head to the ground. Girl ghost. Her head unexpectedly bounced twice, like a rubber ball. This made Luo Shu a little surprised, and hugged it excitedly. Huh. Is it such a cute bomb? Girl ghost. What's the matter with him? Am I not scary? The girl ghost obviously knows what she looks like, so she adjusted her mentality and acted as a horror again. She squeezed the flesh and blood on her face, revealing an innocent and bright, smiling face. Big brother, am I pretty? The crisp child's voice, the beautiful question, paired with this little bloody head, is truly terrifying. But she didn't grow up with Luo Shu's aesthetics. Around Luo Shu, some students mistakenly think that Luo Shu likes everything they think is disgusting and ugly, but that is actually a misunderstanding. Luo Shu didn't even bother to answer. He was studying this head over and over with great interest. Why? Your head has a physical sense. Your dad is a pure ghost. What's the problem? As he thought about it, he threw his head on the ground, bounced, then slapped, bounced again, and finally started dribbling. Bang 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 bang. The girl ghost was already terrified and started screaming. Ah. Bang bang bang. Ah. Bang bang bang. Ah. The rhythm is up. What a thrill. Then with ease, he began to play 3-step layups in the spacious living room, throwing his head against the wall and bouncing it back, dribbling the ball, and running around the living room. Luo Shu had a good time and got more information. He discovered a very important rule. Hey, the one at level 1, where are you? Poplar Shulin, who just woke up a few minutes ago, groped over tremblingly. With a pale face, he walked to the living room with vain steps. Then she saw Luo Shu, who was happily playing with the human head. Sluggish. Seeing her, Luo Shu happily walked over holding the head. Hey, are you awake? I just discovered something that might be a rule. Yang Shulin didn't move at all, his eyes widened, fixed on that bloody head. Luo Shu said to himself, I found that when these ghosts are around us, under normal circumstances, they will lose blood and stamina, and some people will even lose san. But, if the ghosts feel scared, the passive damage will become extremely small. He stared at Yang Shulin with his head in his hands, and said aggrievedly, I don't want him to play with me anymore. This picture is too exciting. The poplar forest fell straight. Bang. Passed out again. Luo Shu was speechless for a while. What hot chicken teammate. Barrage. Again. I'm done. Luo Shu speaks like a Versailles ha ha ha. Some people even lose san value. Even. Ha 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 ha. It's as if someone can't drop san. Oh, big brother, if you don't drop it, you still get it. When I haven't said it, farewell. In different script worlds in horror games, ghosts have different ability settings. Luo Shu may regard what he discovered now as a general rule. It's amazing. Okay, I thought he was losing his mind. It turned out to be logical. From the standpoint of the little female ghost, Luo Shu is so scary. The teammate is completely useless, almost useless, and can't be killed, so Luo Shu had to let her lie down and play by herself. He carried the ball into the kitchen and found a woven bag. Then put your head inside and hold it in your hand. The girl ghost is still screaming. Luo Shu said, be quiet, or I will use you as a stool and sit on your face. The girl ghost immediately shut up. Luo Shu tried to question her, where is your body? If you have a head, you must have a body. The girl ghost shook her head. Luo Shu asked again, why are you scaring us? The girl ghost blinked and blinked. I can't say it. Not being able to say and not knowing are two concepts. Luo Shu asked for a while, but when he couldn't find anything, he found a drying rack on the balcony, and put the woven bag with the head on it to dry. He can't take it with him. He has tested it just now. This kind of ghost has a passive similar to the burn effect and will lose blood. The health value is currently only 65% left. Luo Shu probably already guessed that half of the logic of this game is gone. He jumped over Yang Shulin and walked to the bathroom. It's very clean. The abnormal source code started to make trouble again, and the screen in front of Luo Shu fluctuated for a while. It's like a flashback from a movie. The clean and bright bathroom in front of me was replaced by another dark bathroom with blood flowing freely. A long-haired woman covered her mouth and fell into a pool of blood. Trembling, she crawled towards the toilet and reached in, as if she wanted to pick up something. A cry of extreme pain came out of his mouth. In an instant, the eyes returned to the status quo. Hey, Luo Shu was a little surprised. He finally understands that the abnormal source code can cause part of the screen to flash back, allowing him to see the screen at a specific moment in the past. It's like playing script killing. Star Detective, he can get more clue cards. Luo Shu dragged his right elbow with his left arm, pinched his face with his right hand, and walked around the toilet twice while maintaining his thinking state. That woman wants to fish for something. There must be something here. He turned around, squatted down with a frown, and seemed to want to sit on it. But he stopped again, maintaining an awkward posture of striding forward in front of the toilet. Then gave up the idea of taking risks. Luo Shu felt that the real danger with lethal force is the danger that does not appear directly. You can't try it rashly. So he opened the door and walked out. And the water in the toilet was slightly rippling. In the shadow of the water hole, there seemed to be a scarlet and soft thing that protruded out and stirred for a while, then quickly retracted. Luo Shu's hesitation and strange performance in the bathroom caused the audience to argue endlessly. What is he doing? Want to take a shit? But found no paper. Don't laugh, it might be true. Is it really that simple? I think Luo Shu seems to have discovered something abnormal in it, but he dare not take the risk. Don't exaggerate, he is also an ordinary person, there is no clue at all in the bathroom, how can he tell that there is something abnormal? Luo Shu searched the open kitchen next to the living room again, and confirmed that there was nothing special in the cabinets and refrigerator. He turned the tap again, and it stopped. Is there no drink or water? Luo Shu looked around. It wasn't that he was thirsty, he wanted to drink for his teammates. In case a teammate drinks too much and wants to go to the toilet, he can use his teammates as bait to fish out the contents of the toilet. As for whether teammates will be injured, Luo Shu believes that the greatest contribution this teammate can make is to be a bait once. This is the price she pays for leading her to lie down and win. Luo Shu's eyes suddenly lit up. Right on the dining table, there is an aluminum jug with glasses next to it. He walked over, opened the lid of the kettle, checked it habitually, and looked inside without any hope. The four eyes meet. What a surprise! Luo Shu was so happy that he stretched his hands in with great joy, and took out the pair of tricks inside with difficulty. The eyes of the man in the suit. Found it. The item column gives the description information. Name: a pair of highly myopic eyes. Type: drama-related. Function: look, whether the script can be brought out. Number: remarks: take a look at the child. Put it in the teapot, there is still water in it. What does it mean? The eyes need to be washed. Luo Shu looked at the note again and felt something. This is also a hint. And his conjecture has been connected. He still used the water inside, poured it into a cup, walked to Poplar Shulin, knelt down and gently woke her up. Wake up. Hey, Sabi, wake up. Then pinch her nose. Yang Shulin felt suffocated for a while, woke up suddenly, and opened his eyes. I saw a handsome face smiling at me gently, and handed me a water glass. Come, drink some water. Because of the beauty of the filter, and because he was really thirsty, Yang Shulin took it and drank it. Gurgling. After drinking, Yang Shulin was helped up by Luo Shu, and she whispered, "Thank you, where did you find the water?" Luo Shu casually pointed to the table. It's in the kettle. Oh, Yang Shulin didn't think too much. Seeing him go away again, he hurriedly followed. Hey. Don't run alone. You scared me to death. Where's that head? Luo Shu said. The balcony, I'll hang it there first. Yang Shulin. Where are you going? Did you find something? She could tell that this level 1 kid might not have the skills, but he was brave. Play with your head. Yang Shulin wanted to save himself some face, and said awkwardly, I'm actually pretty good. After all, you see I'm level 3, and it's still useful, mainly because of this supernatural script world I really don't have experienced, not good at. Luo Shu stood at the door of another small bedroom. Said to Yang Shulin, as long as you don't faint again, I told you in advance that there must be an ambush in the bedroom. Yang Shulin quickly stopped. He began to draw his gun again. Luo Shu sighed and walked in by himself. As predicted. The window of this room was open, the white curtain fluttered, and a little girl in a white dress stood there. Yang Shulin pointed at it tremblingly. What is she doing? Luo Shu guessed. Let's hide and seek, it may be the projection of the behavior in life. Barrage. If he doesn't say it, he can't think of it at all. When he says it, it's really like playing hide and seek. Otherwise, he has a high IQ, please be a top student at Jiaotong University. I don't think it's an IQ problem. I'm not even a match for IQ, but I don't think about it. Yes, Luo Shu's way of thinking is a bit different from ordinary people. I thought of a sentence, sometimes criminals are the best detectives. Luo Shu opened the curtain, and there was a translucent headless ghost behind it. Judging by the clothes and height, it was obviously the little girl's. The headless body started to run sideways in a panic. Luo Shu wanted to grab her, but he grabbed her and it was all in vain. A pure spirit body, untouchable. The headless body ran very fast, passed through the wall in an instant, and ran from this room to the living room. Yang Shulin was very promising this time and did not faint. Chasing or not, she called. Luo Shu walked out slowly, and said with a blank expression, why are you chasing her? Did you shoot her? Yang Shulin had no idea at all. Then what are we doing now? Do we see the target and do nothing? Luo Shu went out, reached the dining table, poured another glass of water, and handed it to her. Just drink more water. Just a little bit. Luo Shu watched the headless soul come out of the wall and ran back again. The head of the girl on the balcony was dripping with blood as she stared blankly. There are still some things I don't understand, but it's almost solved. Luo Shu was thinking anxiously, what's missing, what's missing? Yang Shulin shrank aside, waiting for the headless ghost to disappear before coming over. I'm not thirsty anymore. Luo Shu insisted on handing her the water glass. I am a doctor, you need to drink water. On the one hand, it can replenish your physical strength, on the other hand, it can stabilize your mood and prevent you from fainting again. You should know that fainting in such a haunted house, probably never wake up again. Oh, alright. Yang Shulin saw that he was wearing a white coat, he must be a doctor, and what he said made sense, so he took a big sip. Luo Shu, finish. Yang Shulin. Oh, gurgling. Luo Shu poured her another cup, admonishing her coldly in a doctor's tone. The effect was very good, and she finished drinking. Yang Shulin burped and stroked his slightly distended belly. Luo Shu asked, how much health and stamina do you have? Yang Shulin looked at it. Health is 68%, stamina is 30%. Luo Shu glanced at his own. Due to more and longer contact with ghosts, the life value is only 57%, but the physical value is 80%. He was a little confused. Why did your physical strength drop so quickly? Yang Shulin was a little embarrassed. I was so scared, a little weak. Luo Shu. He needs to understand the various states of the human body to study medicine, but Luo Shu is a bit painful in this regard. For not being able to empathize. Fear, actually can make people collapse, make people faint. But he will only be more excited. Let's go. The first floor has been searched almost, and there is only one last place left. Below the wooden stairs, there is a locked wooden door. The other places are very clean. Only here, the old-fashioned copper lock has accumulated a layer of dust. The same goes for wooden doors. Yang Shulin blinked and blinked. Level 1. This little brother, can you pick a lock? Luo Shu didn't speak, just pinched the brass lock and glanced at her. Yang Shulin immediately expressed his opinion. I understand. I'll go find the key. I will try my best to help. I will never lie down and win. Luo Shu let her go find him. In fact, she has a gun, and she can shoot directly. But in that case, one of the easiest ways to pass the level may be completely cut off. Then, Luo Shu asked her to search around on the first floor and went up to the second floor by herself. In the corridor, she saw the mistress of the villa. She was wearing a long lake blue dress, which was probably her favorite dress during her lifetime. She has smiling eyes, but Luo Shu is not sure if she is smiling because she has no mouth. Below the nose, there are broken flesh and blood. What? The female ghost let out a ferocious scream, then floated up, and flew towards Luo Shu with resentment all over her body. The surrounding temperature plummeted. There's a layer of frost on the walls. The momentum is terrifying. Against the ghostly wind, Luo Shu walked straight over. The female ghost penetrated his body. Luo Shu lost 5% of his health, but it wasn't serious. After she passed through, she turned to look at Luo Shu. Luo Shu also turned to look at her. I know you don't want to hurt me, you want to scare me out, but you are protecting me. I understand. This is Luo Shu's guess. Since entering this haunted house, the family of 3 took turns to move out, but none of them meant to hurt them. There is no way to lose blood. As long as you get close to these spirits, the player will lose blood. But they are definitely not ghosts, and they have no subjective will to kill people. It was also because of this that when the female ghost seemed to be about to attack, Luo Shu didn't even bother to run away. Hearing his words, the female ghost's expression softened. Immediately, she stretched out a hand and pointed to one of the rooms. Luo Shu walked over to have a look. There are only 2 rooms here. A recreation room and a study. The female ghost refers to the study room. Luo Shu walked in. This should be the place where the host works. There is a bookshelf, a desk, and a sofa. The strangest part is that, in this study, there is actually a wardrobe. Luo Shu walked over and carefully pushed it away. He opened his eyes slightly, and then smiled happily. As expected, the 4th person in this family. In the big wardrobe, there are clean but old bedding and pillows on the upper layer, obviously someone slept here. Luo Shu finally found direct evidence to prove his guess. A family of 4, 3 ghosts, and 1 person. In order to save space and avoid earthquake stress, many people used to sleep in such cabinets. An invisible person who is not valued, not watched. Luo Shu muttered to himself. So, you want to gouge out your father's eyes and wash him? He searched again. In the desk drawer, there are photos of their family of 3. A total of 3 people, father, mother and daughter, took photos standing in front of the house. In the photo, the father in a suit and leather shoes looks very handsome, holding his daughter's hand, looking at her with a smile in his eyes. The mother also leaned gently on her husband's shoulder, very happy. Luo Shu took down the photo and put it away. There are no photos anywhere in the whole house, maybe he put it away, and only this one was left behind. He also searched the entertainment room on the 2nd floor, but there was nothing available except game consoles and fitness equipment. As for Ogura Curry on the 2nd floor, Luo Shu found a good thing. Name: Bloody Shovel. Type: Weapon. Quality: Normal. Attribute: Sha. Damage: Strong. Function: due to being contaminated with too much blood and corpse gas, this shovel can harm spirit bodies. Of course, you can use it to plow the land if you want to. Special effect: convert 30% of the power of swinging the shovel into spiritual damage with the attribute of Sha. Equipment conditions: none. Whether the script can be brought out: yes. Remarks: buried, buried. All buried. ... What? The screams of Yang Shulin came from downstairs. Luo Shu is full of confidence now, and finally has a weapon. He copied the guy and rushed down. The poplar forest rushed out of the toilet and shouted, I drank too much water, just. I want to go to the bathroom. Just sitting down, I feel wrong, let it go. This is what? This is a really curious picture. 2 rows of bloody teeth, connected to the upper and lower jaws, bit Yang Shulin's thigh. The pants were bitten through and dripping with blood. Hiss. Luo Shu couldn't help feeling scared. Fortunately, I didn't try it myself. Barrage. Opening square bracket exclamation mark exclamation mark exclamation mark exclamation mark exclamation mark. I'm so disgusting, isn't it? Leaving a psychological shadow. I dare not go to the toilet in the future. In the future, when I take a shit, I will think that there is a bloody mouth in the toilet. The girl who was fooled into drinking water as bait is also very pitiful. Luo Shu didn't dare to stretch out his hand to grab it. He might lose his life points due to injury, so he could only use this bloody shovel to shoot. With a slap, the mouth that existed independently of the face was hit on the ground. Unwilling to admit defeat, he opened and closed twice, and the 2 rows of teeth gnawed loudly. Luo Shu took another shot. Completely motionless. Luo Shu picked it up. Don't you have a bag? Let it go. Although Yang Shulin was absolutely unwilling in his heart, he had no choice but to grit his teeth and open the bag, letting his bloody mouth be thrown into it. Quickly zip up. At this time, her life value is already very low. The leg was still bleeding profusely. Little brother, I may be dying. Yang Shulin sat on the ground, with a pale face, took out a small key from his pocket. This is the key to the basement I found in the water tank. You take it. You must survive. Clear the level. My name is Yang Shulin. People have laughed at my name since I was a child. But I don't hate my parents for giving me such a silly name. In the future, if you have a chance to go out. Ah, what are you? When she was saying her last words, Luo Shu took off her belt, then tightened it suddenly on her thigh, and fixed it. It hurts, Luo Shu said. It didn't hurt the artery. Are you acting in Chongyao drama? Yang Shulin's face flushed slightly, a little embarrassed. But, my health is only 15% left. Even if I don't die now, I won't last for a few hours. Luo Shu shook his head. Actually, I probably already guessed the easiest way to pass the level. Yang Shulin was stunned. Huh. Luo Shu took the key, turned and walked towards the warehouse. Follow me. Yang Shulin. Hey, help me. My leg is hurt. Luo Shu didn't look back. Come here. Yang Shulin was depressed and hurt. I curse Luo Shu in my heart, a straight guy who can't find a girlfriend in 10,000 years, single mother and child. Single to death. Then jumped over. With the key she found, she opened the lock. Luo Shu pushed open the door and fanned the decaying smell and dust inside with his hands. It is indeed a basement. After groping for a bit, there is a light on the wall next to it. Turn it on. The dim light immediately illuminated every corner of the basement. A bunch of clutter, and there are 3 kneeling skeletons. Yang Shulin was so frightened that his body went stiff. But he held back and didn't make a sound, and didn't faint. Luo Shu continued to walk inside alone, walked to the side of the skeleton, and observed his life and physical strength. He let out a long breath. Come down. Yang Shulin was terrified when he saw the 3 skeletons. I don't. It's 2. You have cleared the level. Luo Shu said. Huh. Yang Shulin was completely dumbfounded. What did you say? Thinking of something, Luo Shu suddenly became a little nervous, then quickly grabbed Yang Shulin's bag and ran up. Don't move. Wait for me here. Well, Yang Shulin chose to believe. Anyway, I can't catch up. Not long after, Luo Shu came back. Just now he threw the eyeballs back into the kettle, the mistress's mouth into the toilet, and the hanging girl's head, and threw it on the balcony casually, letting her jump around by herself, cleaning up the 2 of them as much as possible. All traces of activity in these 2 hours. When walking into the basement, Luo Shu saw the ghost in suit standing beside him silently. Luo Shu raised a finger. Shish, we are going to hide. Please trouble you later, don't expose us. The ghost in the suit nodded silently. Luo Shu walked in, closed the door, and used a few hairs behind the door to lock the old-fashioned copper lock. The moment the lock rang, Yang Shulin woke up. You are crazy. Luo Shu dragged her down. Shish, keep your voice down, I don't know when he will come back. Yang Shulin has question marks all over his head. What the hell are you talking about? You locked the door, how can we get out? Why are we going out? Luo Shu asked back, and turned off the light. Really, it's pitch black. Generally speaking, in this environment, when the lights are suddenly turned off, girls are prone to stress reactions and screams. What they don't think about is the physiological and psychological differences between men and women. So Luo Shu cleverly covered Yang Shulin's mouth with Yang Shulin's hand. To avoid being bitten. If you get injured, you will lose your health. After confirming that she would calm down, Luo Shu let go of her hand. Slap. The sound of the lighter igniting, a cluster of small flames lit up. Under the reflection of the flames, Yang Shulin's eyes looked very sharp, and he whispered, "What do you mean, tell me?" She has all the equipment in her bag, and naturally there is no shortage of lighters. Luo Shu took a breath and extinguished the fire. First of all, you should have discovered that the ghosts here don't want to hurt us. Found, Yang Shulin said, but it still hurts, we've been bleeding. Right, Luo Shu said. That's because we are always within their passive damage range. As long as we get close, we will lose blood, that's not their subjective wish. So, what do they want? I really haven't thought about that. I think they are driving us away. No matter where we appear in this villa, they will appear. This is a kind of harassment, and we don't have to fight, just avoid it. Remember, I only have level 1, you level 3, the matching script world is not too difficult. The normal way to clear the level should be that we find this home, the only place that will not be harassed by ghosts, and then stay quietly for 12 hours, then we can clear the level. Is it that simple? Easy. You've fainted twice already. I have never seen a ghost. Yeah, I haven't seen it before, so this scripted world is not easy. The system is at this level of difficulty. The challenge for us is the ability to deal with fear, to carry the high pressure brought by fear, in a world where there is almost no water and food. Finding the key, opening this basement, and hiding under the circumstances, is hard enough for a novice. What you said makes sense. Yang Shuxin thought for a while, and always wanted to refute, however, there is still water. You gave me so much to drink. Drinking water also has a threshold. There are 2 human eyes in the kettle. Some players who are mentally weak may not dare to drink at all. Therefore, this game is mainly aimed at the damage of sand value. As long as the mental condition is good, it is still easy to pass the customs. Quote. What did you say? There are 2, what in the kettle? That, vomit. Don't vomit. Thinking of the water I drank, I once soaked 2 eyeballs. Yang Shulin couldn't bear it. He vomited several times, and while vomiting, Luo Shu also, comforted, beside him. It's nothing. I checked it. The eyeballs are blessed with supernatural power. They are very fresh and have not rotted. Yang Shulin vomited harder. Luo Shu was very worried about her. After all, if you vomit any more, you will become dehydrated and your health will be lower. Nothing in the outside world, just drink some water. Here, we'll die. Fortunately, Yang Shulin got used to it after spitting. Yang Shulin finally coughed a few times, and wiped his mouth with his sleeve in the dark. Nausea was over, and she began to think. This guy has a disgusting way of doing things, but what he says makes sense. This time the script world is a supernatural background, aimed at the sand value of the player. For ordinary people, it is actually quite difficult. During the harassment of the 3 ghosts in turn, keep the consumption as low as possible. Then find the key in the water tank, confirm the safety of the basement, and hide here for the rest of the time. Luo Shu said, it sounds easy, but in fact it is very difficult. After all, she was taken to the basement just now, but she didn't make a calm judgment, but wanted to escape when she saw the skeleton. If the match was not Luo Shu, but another coward, it would be unimaginable. Or, if you faint within the passive damage range of the ghost will do nothing, and your life will be exhausted. When you fall asleep, take the dog with you. Although these principles are correct, there are still many doubts. Then who? Don't pursue your sinister intention of letting me drink water. Let me ask you. Yang Shulin couldn't help asking. If what you said is true, why don't these 3 ghosts come in? Luo Shu shook his head. I don't know, maybe it's the setting of this world. Ghosts can't appear around your dead body. Or, there is some kind of restriction here. Yang Shulin. By the way, are you sure that the 3 skeletons are the corpses of the 3 ghosts? I didn't dare to take a closer look just now. Luo Shu, lend me your lighter. Yang Shulin, I have a flashlight, do you want it? My last script was to survive in the wild, so there are a lot of related items. I didn't have time to find it just now, so I touched a lighter temporarily. In fact, there are Swiss Army knives, M9 Army knives, mirrors, and the sun. Caps, buckles, ropes. Luo Shu was shocked when he heard that. My good fellow, what you brought are all useless things. Take out the flashlight. Yang Shulin handed him the flashlight, and Luo Shu turned it on, illuminating the 3 skeletons around him. Under the light, the 3 white bones formed a triangle in a kneeling posture, as if they were paying homage to something. Look, they're all missing. Luo Shu pointed to the petite bones that only had a body. The head is missing. Depending on the size of the bones, she is only 6 to 7 years old. This is my daughter. Pointing to the slender white bones, the lower part of the skull of this skeleton is very tragic, and the entire mouth seems to have been torn off by something. The mouth is missing the upper and lower jaws. This is the mistress. Finally, light up and turn to the most complete bone. This is the male master. What he lacks are eyeballs, so it doesn't affect the image of the bones. Luo Shu guessed. Perhaps, take their missing parts and install them, and something interesting will happen. Yang Shulin just understood a little bit, and when he heard this, he was confused again. Huh. That's right. If that's the case, why did you take back all the bits and pieces you found? What about the eyeballs? Where's the head? Take them and put them on. Maybe you don't need them. Wait another 10 hours, and you'll be cleared directly. Luo Shu was silent for a moment. He took a flashlight and drew circles on the ground with the light. The voice also lowered. What I just said is to pass the script world, the easiest part. Next, is the other part. Yang Shulin himself was timid, and being intimidated mysteriously by Luo Shu, he immediately became nervous and swallowed. What? The reason why I put the head, eyeballs, and the hostess mouth back in place is that I am afraid that someone will find out. Luo Shu deliberately hit his chin with the light of the flashlight, creating an atmosphere of telling a horror story, and said gloomily, this family is not a family of 3, there is a 4th person. One that has never been taken seriously, as if invisible. Invisible man. When he comes here, outside the villa, on the tree-lined path. There was the sound of heavy footsteps. In the macrocosm, multiple worlds are like the sands of the Ganges River. Thriller game, every scripted world is real. Outside the villa, the player can only see the gray mist, which is only a restriction for the player. Who? A boy wearing a black-skirted school uniform was dragging something as he struggled towards home. Like a lot of the Amber boys, he had bangs that were so long they covered his eyes. The setting sun stretched his shadow very long. He said to himself, it's late to go home, the sun has already set. Father, mother, and sister, they will definitely blame me. Speaking of this, he stopped suddenly. There was a strange madness in his tone. What am I thinking? They won't blame me. They won't find out at all. Because they never see me. Ha. He was lugging a sack, a heavy sack. Something is moving inside. There was blood spilled inside, smearing the dirt path in the middle of the woods. In the basement, there are some sundries like tables, chairs and benches piled up. In a dilapidated big cardboard box, Luo Shu found some hidden photos. Unlike the photos he found in the study earlier, these photos showed signs of being vented by someone. The light of the flashlight hits these dusty photos. Luo Shu blows away some dust and makes the photo clearer. Look at the pictures. The photos taken by Luo Shu were taken in middle schools, restaurants, amusement parks, game parks, and even at the entrance of villas. The people in the photos are the same. Everyone is a combination of parents and daughters. There are 3 people in the same pose for taking pictures. The father is holding the daughter, and the mother is leaning on the father. The body movements look very happy. But, in the photo, dad's eyes were poked out. The position of the mother's mouth is cut off. The daughter's face was messed up by the knife, and she could vaguely see her original appearance, which was very cute. Yang Shulin looked around carefully. It's strange, but there are only 3 people in this family. Where is the 4th person you mentioned? Luo Shu said. Then guess who took these photos? The poplar forest suddenly felt creepy. So, he is an invisible man who is not taken seriously. Luo Shu sighed with emotion. He is always the one who helps to take pictures, and never gets into the mirror. No need for more proofs, Yang Shuxin was convinced after a little thought. You found out earlier. Luo Shu nodded. I first saw it from the shoe cabinet at the door. The shoes of the family of 3 are covered in dust, which means they haven't been worn for a long time. Only in the corner of the bottom edge, there is a space for a shoe print. Where are the shoes? Where did they go? The shoe print is about size 38, and the leather shoes are 42, which obviously don't belong to the male owner, so I judge that the owner of this shoe should be a teenager. He may not be tall, and most likely he is still in middle school. If a 6 or 7-year-old girl has a second child, then the older one is also at the right age. Yang Shulin was shocked. This observation is also too keen, right? I didn't see anything. How could he see so much mess from a shoe print that didn't fall into dust? Yang Shulin began to doubt his intelligence. Luo Shu continued. During the search, I found that the house was very clean. This is an obvious reminder. The house looks dilapidated and there are so many dusty shoe cabinets, but the inside is still clean. Obviously someone lives here. But there are no specific traces of his life everywhere. I checked the bathroom carefully, and there is not even a single body hair that fell off, which means that this guy is either a high-level cleanliness or he has always been overly cautious, knowing that he does not please his parents, so he habitually erases all traces of himself every day. This habit has continued to this day. I'm inclined to the latter, because I saw his bed in the study cabinet just now. Yang Shulin was surprised. In the cabinet? Is there a bed? Luo Shu doesn't care about this, and by the way, popular science, it's not surprising that there are beds in the cabinet. This is a script world with a benzene background. In benzene, many families are actually very small in size, so they can only sacrifice the children's bedroom space to let they sleep in cabinets, and the cabinets have the added benefit of protecting them from earthquakes. After all, this is an earthquake-prone country. But Luo Shu made a turning point. This house is not small. I saw that there was even a spare room on the second floor as a recreation room and warehouse, and he was even allowed to sleep in a cabinet in the study. This is not to say that he is partial to his daughter. Almost hated his son. Yang Shulin even felt a little pity for this invisible man. Why? Isn't Lu Ben's quite patriarchal? I don't know why. Luo Shu shook his head, thinking of the reason why others excluded him when he was a child, and guessed. Perhaps he is also a freak. Outside the villa. The wind blew away the boy's bangs. A pair of piercing eyes were revealed. Pale eyeballs, with black fine lines extending from the edges, like a vicious ghost. Xie Yi rolled his eyes and looked at the sky. The sunset has ended, and the night is coming. It's getting dark. Grandpa, you can come out now. He took out a small and exquisite 6-eared jade bottle from his school pants pocket, and uncorked the bottle. This is the dinner I prepared for you. Just eat it. I'm so tired, I don't want to drag her home. The mouth of the jade bottle is like a fountain. Black and white are intertwined and sprayed from the inside. Then it landed on the ground, and quickly built an evil ghost with a height of more than 3 meters. The whole body of this evil spirit is made of thick white bones, and black flesh fills the gaps in the bones. The mouth is huge, full of sharp and interlaced terrifying teeth. The eyes are almost hanging outside, and on the white eyeballs, there are only black spots the size of the eye of a needle, which are turning around. Such evil spirits, if a normal person looks at them, their san value can be cut in half. And this boy in school uniform seemed to be very familiar with the evil spirit. His name is Toyokawa Kuroki, born with yin and yang eyes, and extremely high spiritual perception. The evil spirit he raises is a Shikigami trained from the soul of his grandfather Toyokawa Taro. In this world, there used to be onmyojis and Shikigami. But the so-called Shikigami is just a good name for evil ghosts. Or rather, evil ghosts raised by others, obedient evil ghosts, are called Shikigami. Toyokawa Taro, the evil ghost, obeyed his grandson's words, grabbed the sack with his big hand, and pulled it casually. The strong sack was torn apart like a thin piece of paper, revealing one of the blood-stained girls. The girl was also wearing a school uniform. She and Toyokawa Kuroki went to the same school. They had never met each other until today when they were attacked by Toyokawa Kuroki on the way home. They were beaten half to death and put in a sack. Trying to open her eyelids, the girl saw the evil spirit. The evil spirit picked her up and hung her above, and then its mouth grew huge like a rubber one, like a carriage. The girl was so frightened that she almost fainted. Ah! Don't kill. The evil spirit loosened its fingers and threw the girl down. Sharp teeth bite. Laugh. Blood splattered everywhere. The girl's voice stopped abruptly. The demon chews, then swallows. Toyokawa Kuroki watched this scene with a bright smile. At this moment, this boy with yin and yang eyes and a pure smile looks more frightening and disturbing than a ghost. Basement. From the perspective of criminal psychology, it's easy to guess what this fool is thinking. Luo Shu took out the intact photo in his pocket and showed Yang Shulin. Dad's eyes always look at his daughter, never at him, so after he killed his father, he dug out his eyes, put them in a kettle, and washed them. Wash your eyes. Why did my mother tear off her mouth? Maybe she often scolded him, so she threw it in the toilet to eat shit. The younger sister's face may be too cute. He thinks that the younger sister got all the love from her parents because of her cute looks. Blind guess, he may not look very good. Yang Shulin felt like vomiting. What kind of pervert is this? Madman. Murderer. She asked again. Then, why did you have to cut off all the heads? Luo Shu doesn't know everything. He has the courage to admit, I don't know, maybe it's playing every day. Venting anger. With the blessing of supernatural power, his head is really bouncing. Suddenly, footsteps came from above. The faces of the two changed at the same time. Coming. Finally come. Opening the fence of the yard, Toyokawa Kuroki walked under the cherry tree and pushed open the gate. The door didn't lock. Anyway, he was alone. Taro Toyokawa's evil ghost has been collected by him, like a pet monster, in that special 6-eared jade bottle. Taking off his shoes, he yelled politely, I am back. As usual, no one paid him any attention. Toyokawa Kuroki didn't care, and walked inside. In the corridor, the figure of the ghost in a suit appeared. Toyokawa Kuroki bowed respectfully and said hello, father. The ghost in suit didn't speak, and stared at the sun coldly with empty eye sockets. Toyokawa Kuroki walked away. He went straight to the balcony and saw his sister's head on the ground. Smiled. The little girl's bloody face could still express a look of fear. Brother, big brother. Toyokawa Kuroki kicked up hard. Boom. The head is mounted on the balcony wall like a rubber ball, and then bounced into the living room. Bouncing, get under the table. At this moment, Luo Shu's live broadcast room. It exploded. Generally, when there are important NPC plots, split screens will appear. That is, one perspective follows the player, and the other perspective follows the NPC. So I heard Luo Shu's analysis and saw Toyokawa Kuroki's behavior. I really kick my sister's head to play as soon as I get home. Luo Shu, did you get the script? So accurate. It's scary. Perverted thoughts are surprisingly consistent. Fortunately, the horror game can't maliciously hurt teammates, otherwise Luo Shu's teammates would be unimaginable. Wait, can't it hurt? Then let her drink water and go to the toilet just now, causing injury. The plot is minor, but it should be counted, and some moral character points may be deducted during the settlement. Then maybe you won't be able to get an A grade this time. Is the score important? Now I am so nervous that I scratch my face with my toes. This middle school student is really scary. The temperament is too scary. In the basement, Luo Shu and Yang Shulin heard the movement. Bang bang bang. Luo Shu guessed something, with a strange expression on his face. It's not really kicking people's heads for fun. Everyone's preferences are surprisingly consistent. But I'm not a pervert. Yang Shulin grabbed his arm nervously. We are now. Luo Shu, shut up. Yang Shulin, I know. I will be quiet. Luo Shu, it's mainly bad breath. Yang Shulin, I really want to fire a special shot. Luo Shu's flashlights were turned off, and the two waited nervously in the dark for the time to pass. Toyokawa Kuroki was tired from kicking, so he took out a bento from his school bag, sat at the dining table, and began to eat alone. Yang Shulin endured it for a long time, and asked cautiously, are we just going to hide like this? We won't be discovered. A family of 3 should not betray us. Luo Shu also said angrily, I've put everything back in place, but if he's vigilant enough, there's one more detail that might be wrong. Yang Shulin, what? Luo Shu, the water you drank. Yang Shulin, Toyokawa Kuroki felt a little thirsty after eating the bento. I got up and went to the kitchen, took a cup and went to the water outlet for direct drinking water, but twisted it a few times, but there was no water. He patted himself on the forehead. Why did you forget about the blocked water pipe? Toyokawa Kuroki was a little annoyed. There was no water at home, and he didn't buy. Correct. There was still half a jug of water in the teapot. He walked to the dining table, picked up the teapot and poured water into the cup. Just 2 poor drops. Okay. He opened the lid of the teapot, and saw his father's eyes as expected, but unexpectedly. No water. Toyokawa Kuroki stood there, his expression gradually covered with shadows, but a smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. A pair of pale eyeballs with black borders turned to one side, looking extremely sinister and terrifying. How can this be good? Is not it? A thief stole my water. Toyokawa Kuroki has a sensitive mind and is very suspicious, and he moves whenever he has doubts. He walked to his sister's bedroom lightly, looking at the curtains blown up by the wind. He always felt that there was someone behind. He took a boning knife from the kitchen, put it behind his back, and approached slowly. Then jerk away. His face was full of distorted and bloodthirsty excitement. I got you. However, there is nothing behind the curtain. Toyokawa Kuroki's expression softened in an instant, then he turned and left blankly. Continue searching for the next place. In the basement, Luo Shu's heartbeat began to speed up, his san value increased, and his brain began to gallop. A living person is actually more terrifying than a ghost. Let people have more pressure. Luo Shu listened to the movement above, and said in a low voice, Thriller games, every script world should have an easy mode, and a score below B in the final score should be counted as clearing the level in the easy mode. High difficulty modes, such as S and A ranks. Yang Shulin had a bad feeling. Then, it's very difficult, what should I do? Luo Shu didn't answer. He was searching the bookshelves in the basement. He never had the habit of resigning himself to fate, the habit of relying on luck. So he has been diligently searching this key basement just now. If there is a low difficulty clearance method, there must be a high difficulty clearance path. Must. Luo Shu found many worn-out books on the abandoned bookcase. He didn't have time to read each one carefully, so he directly used the characteristics of the system to touch them one by one. If it is really a proper equipment that is critical to the plot, there will definitely be a reminder. Really, when he touched a heavy book with a cowhide cover, he jumped out of the prompt. Letter not sent by Jiro Toyokawa. Type: drama related. Luo Shu opened the book and found that there was a yellowed letter hidden inside. He didn't even need to open it. Now that the item had recognized the letter, he could directly read the high-definition text presented by the system. Content: Teacher, I decided to explain to you about your criticism last time. I really hate Kuroki. Yes, he is my own son, but he has those eyes. I'm scared. What he can see, what he says. I am afraid. I'm afraid of my son. As you may not know, my father was an onmyoji. Our Functuan family has been an onmyoji for generations. But my father said that the influence of the spirit world on reality is increasing, shikigami are becoming more and more distorted, and the danger of onmyojis is also multiplying. Many people died, and my father gave up on me, Nourish. He decided to let me be an ordinary person. I am grateful. But I didn't expect that my father himself didn't give up. Writing smeared, content lost. The father whose personality has changed drastically is unwilling to accept the ending of death. He uses a secret method to store his soul in a 6-eared jade bottle. As long as there are enough blood sacrifices from living people, he can continue to exist in the world as a shikigami. It's hard to say how much humanity is left. Writing smeared, content lost. Kuroki is very similar to his grandfather. Very alike. Not just those eyes. Teacher, if one day paint by yourself, the content will be lost. This is all. Luo Shu understood. Yang Shulin watched him stunned for a while, and was a little anxious. What's the matter? What is this? Luo Shu came back to his senses and said, I've finished reading the letter related to the plot, so that's right. He showed a relieved smile. There are still many things I haven't figured out before. For example, the strange triangular kneeling posture of the 3 corpses here always makes me feel like a strange ritual. For example, since these 3 people have become evil ghosts, can the murderer really live here for a long time? We will be consumed by the evil ghost, won't he? Also, when he flashes back in the yard, he sees those corpses hanging on the cherry tree. Now I understand. This family, the Toyokawa family, a family of onmyojis, already has a supernatural background. Toyokawa Taro is considered to be the last generation of onmyojis. He seems to have gone mad and hiccuped. He refused to accept death and rubbed his soul into a bottle. To make him wake up, a living blood sacrifice is needed. The guy upstairs who is tossing around is his grandson, named Toyokawa Kuroki, who probably has yin and yang eyes, and he must be considered exceptionally talented in the field of onmyoji. He probably talked nonsense since he was a child, which scared his parents to give birth to a second child. By the way, he was afraid and hated him, all kinds of pua, all kinds of deliberately ignoring him. Dead ball. Luo Shu's san value has soared to over 120% at the moment. When he was excited, he was full of weird words, far less reserved than usual. He kept his voice as low as possible. I don't know if it's destined. Brother Kuroki must have found the secret book. Learned the secret technique. Blood sacrificed the whole family. Awakened the soul of my grandpa. Turned grandpa into my own Shikigami. The system suddenly popped up a prompt. The world view has been unlocked. Important reward reminder. Luo Shu froze for a moment. Suddenly it was completely dark in front of his eyes, only one place was bright. World view is an important gameplay setting for horror games. It is also a reward for intellectual players. Once the player interprets the deep plot, or some hidden truths, it is to unlock the world view. The rewards are naturally generous. One of the rewards is to directly give hints about important items or equipment. Luo Shu had seen the detailed rules and naturally remembered them. There is only one place in his eye that is shining now. It was next to the family of three, near the back waist of the male owner's body. He hurried over and reached out to touch the brick. There's something in here, Luo Shu hurriedly said. Give me a knife with a thinner blade. Yang Shulin had just finished listening to Luo Shu's dark story, and was completely shaken. Suddenly, he threw himself against the wall again, and then asked for a knife. Her mind leapt so fast that she couldn't keep up. What's the matter? What did you find again? Luo Shu was a little impatient. Give it to me first. Yang Shulin handed over a multifunctional saber, and Luo Shu pulled out the knife part, inserted it into the gap between the masonry and the surrounding links, and began to sharpen the saw vigorously back and forth. The broken mud rustled down. Perhaps a few decades ago, this was still a movable brick, a secret box for hiding things, but time flies, the brick and its surroundings are tightly bonded, almost a tight fit. If there is no hint, unless it is an extremely coincidental coincidence, it will be difficult for Luo Shu to find what is inside. After cutting around, Luo Shu stretched out his hand again, and finally pulled out this movable brick with all his strength. The flashlight shone in, and Luo Shu saw a thread-bound book with a dark yellow and curly cover. Only then did the hint light in his eyes disappear. Luo Shu stretched out his hand and pulled out the book. In this book, the words written on the cover can still be vaguely seen, just one word, forbidden. The paper was dark yellow and brittle, feeling like it would weather at any moment. Luo Shu didn't dare to open it at all. Fortunately, he doesn't need to open it. Name: Forbidden Art. Spiritual Cooperation. Type: Skill, Spiritual Art. Special Effects: Sign a contract with the spirit body and perform fusion. After fusion, the user becomes a half-human, half-spiritual state, with a certain probability of deriving a special attack method, and the attack damage is a spiritual effect. Damage depends on the fusion object. Usage method: Permanent Mastery. Learning conditions: within 60 minutes, the decline rate of san value less than 20%. Requirements: 1. The object of fusion must be a complete spirit body. If the soul is incomplete, there is a high probability that the fusion will go out of control, and the consequences will be disastrous. 2. The fusion site must be in a place where yin energy is highly concentrated, including but not limited to mortuary, funeral parlor, burial cemetery, etc. 3. Ask for permission from the spirit body. 4. Read the mantra, make seals, contact them, and sign contracts. Consumption: 1% of the san value is consumed per second for every spirit body fused. Remarks: to put it so grandly, isn't it just a ghost possessing? Luo Shu is very sad. This note spit out his slot. But this skill is so strong. The skills of horror games are not clearly graded, but there are still many ways to judge the strength. When Luo Shu read the skill introduction, he knew that there were many types of skills. Basically, the lowest level skills have a clear upper limit, such as how much stamina they consume and what kind of damage they deal. But this skill has no upper limit. As long as the fused ghost is strong enough, he can increase his combat power infinitely. Of course, the consumption of such a skill is terrible. If it is an ordinary player, in some scary scripted worlds, the sand value may have been declining steadily. If you use such a sand value consuming skill, even if you only merge with a spirit body, it will be 60% of the sand value in 1 minute. Basically, if the sand value is lower than 40%, the player will gradually begin to have problems such as confusion, hallucinations, and emotional loss. The horror game has been more than half a year now, and there are too many players whose sand value has been cleared. Not all of them are dead, but they are all crazy, and they stay in the script world forever. But Luo Shu knew that this kind of skill was his perfect match. His sand value has never been lower than 100%. Would you like to learn the forbidden art? Spiritual cooperation. Luo Shu said without hesitation, study. The yellowed book that was almost withered in his hand gave off a faint light, and then disappeared without a trace. And the same light appeared on Luo Shu's body. He closed his eyes, feeling this special way of knowledge transmission. Almost in an instant, a specific way of using it emerged in his mind. Those complicated handprints and incantations, Luo Shu instantly understood them. Although Yang Shulin is level 3, he has never learned any skills. She only saw her teammates study in the script world, so she recognized this situation. Envious and happy. All go. How did you find out? What skill? What skill? Is it powerful? Can it counter-kill? Luo Shu didn't speak, and thought for a while. Then he looked at Yang Shulin. Give me the gun. Yang Shulin. Huh, oh, ... In the living room, Toyokawa Kuroki, who couldn't find anyone, was very upset. Where? Someone must have come in, someone must have found out. Where are you? Holding the boning knife, he walked from the living room to the dining room, and then from the dining room to the master bedroom. After passing the door of the basement for the 3rd time, he suddenly thought of something and stopped. Turning his head slowly, he looked at the dusty wooden door. The white eyeballs were terrifyingly dark. The basement, he locked it himself, he never went down. The footsteps were getting closer. But getting lighter. Until you can't hear it. Yang Shulin was so frightened that he stood tightly against the wall in the darkness, his back straightened. On the old wooden door, there are several small holes that transmit light. Those lights were annihilated one by one. This shows that outsiders. Right behind the door right now. The largest doorway was suddenly covered, and a pale eye appeared behind the doorway. Then slowly turned, looking at the poplar forest standing by the wall. Toyokawa Kuroki's voice was shrill and strangely gentle. I saw you, peek-a-boo little. A black muzzle hit the same door. No fancy, no hesitation. Boom, gunshot. Toyokawa Kuroki's right eye socket burst into blood, his head was thrown back suddenly, the back of his head was lifted by the bullet, and he just lay back without fancy. Luo Shu kicked open the door, took Yang Shulin's Walther PPK pistol, and pointed at Toyokawa Kuroki on the ground, relentlessly reloading the gun. Bang bang bang, bang bang bang, 7.65mm bullets, 6 rounds left, all hit Toyokawa Kuroki's head and face. Luo Shu stepped on his chest with one foot, leaned down carefully, inserted a brainstem scalpel into it, stirred it, and checked the messy brain tissue. After confirming that Toyokawa Kuroki was completely brain dead, he was relieved. Condescending, he said coldly, I'm telling you to pretend. What kind of perverted killer am I playing? Seeing this scene, the live broadcast room was overwhelmed collectively. Wanima, this is so exciting. The villain died from talking too much. So much foreshadowing, so much strength. Good guy. I call it a good guy. Just died. No way. This foreplay is so good, I haven't done serious work yet. Shouldn't be dead. Luo Shu is handsome. Screenshot taken. This scene is the cover of the mobile phone. It's time to die. Just pretend to compare. Tell you to take a look inside. I never thought that the people inside had guns, ha 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 ha. Not to mention anything else, just these few shots, it's so cool. Cool, ha 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 it is. Turn into a psycho killer with Luo Shu. Or you qualified, ha 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 ha. On the perverted murderer, or Wooly Luo has a big face. Luo Shu looks really Shira like this. Sura +1. The name is Shira upside down. This coincidence can exist. Sura +12315. Back to the screenplay world. Luo Shu threw the gun back to Yang Shulin, who was still in a daze. She couldn't believe it either. Just died like this. Isn't this person the big boss? Luo Shu shot and killed Toyokawa Kuroki, but did not relax. He knew it wasn't over yet. Ms. Yang, please, help me get a shovel from the study on the second floor. Luo Shu spoke very quickly. It's too late to explain now, anyway, please. The ghost of the hostess may be up there, don't be afraid, just rush over there, your health is enough. Yang Shulin is not stupid. Although she is not capable, she at least knows how to hug her thigh. Luo Shu said so, it is not over yet. Immediately nodded, okay, turned around and rushed upstairs. Toyokawa Kuroki died so easily, but Luo Shu was not surprised. From all the previous clues, it can be seen that Toyokawa Kuroki is still a mortal body. A bit sickly and delicate, with yin and yang eyes. But still human. If you fall into the rhythm of Toyokawa Kuroki, it may be very troublesome. They would become poor prey to be teased in horror movies. But if his performance is interrupted with an attack that he cannot resist, all subsequent possibilities are interrupted. Then, death is his only ending. Unless that Shikigami has the function of body armor. As it turns out, no. At this time, Toyokawa Kuroki's body moved. At the chest position, something is shaking. Luo Shu hurriedly reached out and took out a small jade bottle with exquisite patterns. The jade bottle was violently shaking. Luo Shu held it with both hands, but was taken along to shake it. The system did not give specific item information, only a one-sentence reminder. Mysterious jade bottle. Something is coming out. The cork at the mouth of the bottle is gradually floating up with the vibration, as if there is a violently expanding gas in the bottle. It's about to pop the cork. Is there a difficult problem here? Luo Shu judged that the pressure must be unstoppable. Just hurry up. He simply ignored the jade bottle, rushed to the toilet as fast as he could, took out the mouth of the hostess, went to the balcony, picked up the girl Q's head, went to the teapot in the restaurant, poured out the hostess's eyes, and then head to the basement. At this moment, the ghost in a suit appeared next to the violently shaking jade bottle, and murmured sadly, "Father, you haven't awakened yet." On the stairs, Yang Shulin rushed down with a shovel, "I got it." Luo Shu didn't slow down, and waved his hands vigorously, "Take it. Run out, run under the cherry tree. It's dangerous here, go there and wait for me." Oh, Yang Shulin picked up the shovel and ran, good. Luo Shu knew that the biggest trouble was still the last on Myoji in this old house. That is, Taro Toyokawa, who has already become a Shikigami. Turn on the light, run in 3 steps and 2 steps, and came to the 3 bones. Luo Shu put the bloody girl's head on the neck of the weakest bone. She blinked and looked at Luo Shu, "Thank you, big brother." In an instant, the flesh and blood of the head disappeared, turning into an ordinary skull. The complete girl's soul appeared next to the bones, shining brightly, and it seemed somewhat holy. Then there are the upper and lower jaws of the hostess. It's the same when you fight. The flesh and blood disappeared and turned into ordinary white bones, which were strangely connected to the skull. The complete soul of the hostess also appears next to it. Finally, the eyeballs are placed in the eye sockets. The complete soul of the hero appears. The 3 looked at Luo Shu together, and said in unison, "Thank you, guest. This situation is inexplicably permeating." But Luo Shu naturally didn't notice it, and now it was only the last step. "Are you willing to merge with me? Lend me your strength." The suit ghost's eyes recovered, and the blood on his face was gone. He looked like an ordinary office worker. His expression at the moment was a little sad. "Then, how about dealing with my father?" Luo Shu hesitated. He didn't know what to say. Should he lie? Liar. But the suit ghost seems to be just doing it. He nodded. "I am willing. I have long wanted to truly liberate my father. He has long been lost in the yin and yang worlds, and has long fallen into the devil's way." Luo Shu was overjoyed and thought of many second-year animations. "It's very insightful. Father, it's for surpassing." Ghost in a suit. His wife showed resentment on her face. I am willing, this old pervert has harassed me in life. He has also committed dirty behavior many times after death. I have endured it for a long time. The ghost in a suit looked at her in shock. Shishizi, what are you talking about? Luo Shu. Ah, I seem to know something important. The little girl looked at her father, then at her mother, and finally looked up at Luo Shu. Okay. But big brother, you can't kick my head in the future. Luo Shu rubbed her head. The little girl's face was still bloody. But the eyes are so clear. You are very cute, Luo Shu said from the bottom of his heart. Barrage appeared, Luo Shu's honey aesthetic. Luo Shu. I just like bloody faces. The taste is a little heavy, boss. At this moment, Luo Shu is in a hurry to take the three ghosts out. The first and third requirements for the forbidden technique and spirit union have been met. As for the second rule, it must be in a place where the yin energy is highly concentrated, under the cherry blossom trees outside. It must be. Although it was too late to use the shovel to dig up the soil, the blood stained on the shovel, as well as the scene seen in the previous flashback, all indicated that there must be many corpses buried there. The cork of the six-eared jade bottle was broken open. On the only way in the corridor, a black and white fountain appeared, and Kuroki's Shikigami, the former head of the house, Toyokawa Taro, quickly condensed into shape. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.